A seemingly ordinary, mysterious pony, named Mr. Miracle by Pinkie Pie, arrives in the familiar yet strange Ponyville. As the story unfolds, Mr. Miracle must also think about his belonging, which will be the hardest decision of his life. Chapter 1. The New Visitor. The sun rises under the power of the Cosmic Princess, and Ponyville welcomes another beautiful day. The ponies of Ponyville begin their daily work as usual, and the whole town becomes lively. Among the many ponies bustling through the streets, one eye-catching pony stands out, a completely pink pony. Not only is she notable for her wildly messy rosered mane and equally messy tail, but also for her spirited and cheerful walk. She hums an impromptu song while greeting every passing pony, and anyone who sees her can't help but warmly call out, "Pinkie." She doesn't have any specific plans for the day, but she's used to letting plans find her. Regardless, she knows that every day will be fulfilling. At the end of the road, a strange pony hesitantly steps into town, but he's a light brown pony with a black mane and tail, interspersed with two subtle dark gray highlights and black eyes, making him appear quite ordinary. As soon as he steps down, he looks around, and seeing that no pony is reacting, he breathes a sigh of relief and continues on his way. He deliberately keeps his distance from other ponies, wearing a forced, awkward smile. Although the ponies of Ponyville don't know him, they all politely nod at him when they see him. This strange pony looks a bit anxious, and upon seeing the pink pony standing across the road, he becomes even more nervous and quickly turns to run. Just as he turns, Pinkie inexplicably senses something, looks in that direction, and sees the strange pony hiding behind a wall as quickly as possible. He waits for a few seconds, seemingly seeing no pony coming, and then breathes a sigh of relief. He peeks out, only to find that the pink figure has disappeared. "Hi!" A familiar, energetic, high-pitched voice comes from behind him. Oh my! He jumps in fright, falling to the ground with his limbs in the air, and turns to see Pinkie Pie somehow next to him. "I shouldn't have been so complacent," he mutters as he gets back up. "Hi, I'm Pinkie Pie." The pink pony smiles. "I haven't seen you before, you new pony. It's nice to meet you. What's your name?" Hello. I am also very happy to meet you," he replies, his smile becoming more awkward, clearly lacking the interest to continue the conversation, burdened with his own thoughts. After a few seconds, Pinkie speaks up first. "Is that all?" Who?" The strange pony tilts his head slightly, his expression becoming more awkward. Pinkie scratches her head in confusion, then suddenly reveals a look of realization. "It's okay, let's do it again. Hi, I'm Pinkie Pie, what's your name?" This time, the other pony looks puzzled. He replies, You've already said that, so? This." The strange pony stutters, struggling to say anything for a while, and finally has to say, "I haven't thought of it yet." "My name? I haven't thought of it yet, Pinkie jumps in place and then forces herself to calm down. "What does that mean? Are you saying your name hasn't been thought of yet?" The strange pony nods, but that's the strangest thing ever. "Well, maybe not the strangest, but it might be. I need to think of all the strange things I've seen." Saying this, she starts counting on her hooves and, unsurprisingly, counts well over 4 hooves. "This must be the 7th strangest thing. You are an adult pony." "What do you mean I haven't thought of a name?" "Well, actually I have a name, but I can't say it in pony language. So I need to come up with a nickname. Do you understand what I mean?" "Oh, I see." Pinkie's face returns to normal, but then she immediately looks puzzled again. "But aren't you a pony? Why can't a pony's name be said in pony language? That's complicated." The strange pony looks up at the sky, where the sun is slowly moving, indicating that time is passing. "I have things to do if you don't mind." "Wait." Pinkie grabs him. "If I don't know how to call you, how can I make up a song for you on the spot and then be friends? I can't just call you hey or yo or that guy. That's too rude." "Wait a second, can I call you that?" "Probably not. Call me whatever you like, I don't mind. But I really have to go now." "What are you going to do?" "I can help you." Pinkie immediately jumps in front of the strange pony, blocking his path. "Once you're done with your business, we can come up with your name together, then I'll know how to call you, and after that, I can make up a song about it, and when I'm done singing, we'll be friends, indeed." The strange pony mutters softly, "What? Nothing. If you want to be friends with me, you don't have to make it so complicated. I'm very happy to be your friend. In fact, if you want, we can be friends right now." Pinkie realizes this and stops hopping to catch up. "Wait." She speeds up, but then realizes it's unnecessary. The strange pony runs in a comical way, as if his 4 legs don't belong to him, tripping over himself after only a few steps. She quickly gets ahead of him. For Pinkie, although it's a bit hasty, making a new friend always brings her joy. What she doesn't understand is why this pony doesn't like chatting with her. "Why are you always in such a hurry? Since we're friends now, I have to help you even more. I need to quickly find a job." The strange pony sighs. "I've been wandering for several days and haven't eaten. If I weren't starving, I wouldn't even have come into town." Just as he finishes speaking, his stomach lets out a loud, hungry growl. "I thought it was something serious, leave it to me." But before that, Pinkie confidently pats her chest, then uses her nose to nudge open the backpack on her back, pulling out a cupcake with her mane. You should eat a cupcake to fill your stomach. First, you need energy to find a job. The strange pony devours the cupcake, as if he has never seen one before, hardly chewing it before swallowing. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me. He shows a bashful smile, which is less awkward than before and more sincere. Making other ponies happy is my greatest joy. Pinkie nods, feeling a sense of accomplishment. If there's nothing else, the strange pony interrupts immediately. Is there more cake? To solve the strange pony's hunger problem, Pinkie invites him for a proper meal to tea first. He is quite shy about it, but after Pinkie's repeated requests, he finally gives in and ends up devouring 2 servings of fried hay, 3 large bowls of vegetable salad, 3 fried bean burgers, and a cup of orange soda. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, the strange pony's previous urgency disappears without a trace, and he is now very willing to chat slowly with Pinkie. They walk and talk. Actually, finding a job in Ponyville is quite simple. Pinkie talks animatedly, her expression serious, but no matter how serious she looks, everyone ends up laughing. You just need to report what you're good at, show it to the ponies who need it, and boom, that's it. But it seems I don't have anything I'm good at. Pinkie snorts in disbelief. Silly, how can that be? Every pony has one or more things they are good at, maybe you just don't know it yet. Yeah, every pony has that. The strange pony mutters quietly. Pinkie didn't hear what he said, standing still and pulling a tuft of her tangled mane with her hoof, causing a writing board and a pencil to pop out from her messy hair. It's hard to say, but it's much easier to write. Just write down the things you did before that other ponies praised you for, and we'll analyze it. Bibbly blah bop. Then you'll know what you're suited for. The unfamiliar pony hesitated and nodded, then reached for the pencil on the ground, but just rolled around under his hoof, and he couldn't pick it up at all. He tried to grab the writing board, but all he did was leave dust on it, still unable to lift it. Even a pony like Pinkie, who was used to shocking other ponies, was taken aback. You've never used a pencil before? Where I'm from, the writing is different. We write by dipping our hooves in ink. After saying this, the unfamiliar pony gave an awkward yet polite smile. As she spoke, she pushed aside the unfamiliar pony's tail that had been covering his thigh, only to find it completely bare. Was this the second or third time she was shocked? No Cutie Mark, an adult pony. No Cutie Mark. He had been hiding his thigh with his tail the whole time, and he always showed her just one side. She thought he was just shy, but now it really seemed to be shy. Oh my gosh, you are full of mysteries. I know, I'm going to call you Mr. Miracle. No, this isn't the time to get hung up on names. Are you the only one without a cutie mark where you come from? The unfamiliar pony scratched his head and hesitated before saying, in a way, it's normal where we're from to not have cutie marks. Only a very few know their talents. Your place really is a magical land. Maybe I want to visit in the future that you'll be disappointed. He muttered quietly, and she didn't hear him. That it seems that before we find a job that truly suits you, we need to help you solve the cutie mark problem. Once we find your cutie mark, you'll know what you're good at, and then you can find a job you love. Oh, what should I do? Of course, seek help from an expert. Pinkie confidently clapped her hooves and then pushed the unfamiliar pony towards the center of Ponyville. I have a friend who is very knowledgeable and will definitely have a way. The unfamiliar pony wasn't curious about who she was talking about. In fact, he already knew. He just sighed and followed Pinkie's lead, as he felt that expert wouldn't be able to help him. Sweet Leaf, I'm thinking about whether I should reread Magical Tales and Practical Potions, as this recipe seems a bit off. In the Golden Oak Library, a light purple unicorn with a deep indigo mane and pink and purple highlights was mixing potions while looking at the recipe on the shelf. She didn't look up and directly asked a purple baby dragon, you're talking about Magical Tales and Practical Potions. I don't think you need to read it again, since you've already read it several times, right? Sweet Leaf forced a polite smile, but was actually sweating profusely. Never mind, I'll find it myself. After saying this, the purple unicorn, named Ziua, used magic to pull a book from the shelf. Sweet Leaf wanted to stop her, but it was too late. She had already found the book she wanted, and upon opening it, she discovered it had been splashed with juice, smearing many pages of text. You remember the day you first came to Ponyville? Pinkie threw you a welcome party, right? Sweet Leaf explained with a forced smile. You know, at parties, everyone is happy and easily gets carried away. I don't know which pony splashed juice on it. I was afraid you'd get mad, so I didn't say anything. I thought you wouldn't look at it again. You were right. I am indeed very angry. Just after she shouted, wanting to continue asking Sweet Leaf, the library door was suddenly pushed open, interrupting their conversation. Ziua turned around to see Pinkie and an unfamiliar pony. Pinkie, how could you be so reckless? Ziua said while walking towards the door, causing the juice-stained book to fall to the ground. Sweet Leaf let out a sigh of relief and wiped his sweat, then hid the book deep on the shelf. Pinkie rushed in, pressing Ziyue back and forth with her hooves. This time it's different. Mr. Miracle needs help. Who is Mr. Miracle? It's this pony. Pinkie called the unfamiliar pony over and pushed aside his tail to reveal, look, as an adult pony, he actually has no cutie mark. Ziyue leaned in to take a look, and indeed, it was completely bare, and she couldn't help but be shocked. Oh my gosh, I've never heard of such a thing. Ziyue's expression then turned joyful. Great. Another new topic. Please don't worry. She suppressed her excitement at discovering a new problem and coughed a couple of times. We can figure out what the problem is. After saying this, she turned around and called Sweet Leaf to help her get books, looking determined, clearly unaware of how serious his problem was, or rather, how not serious. It was, the unfamiliar pony actually knew why he didn't have a cutie mark. It wasn't due to some strange disease or a curse, but simply because he had never known his talent, and it was. Just that simple. He explained this to Ziyue, but she didn't really believe him and insisted on flipping through books to search, so the unfamiliar pony just waited by her side. He thought Ziyue would only look for a little while, but as time passed, she remained serious, with Pinkie assisting her, which moved him greatly. These two ponies had just met him, yet they were willing to help him like this. So he joined in the work of looking through the books, but he couldn't understand pony writing at all. Oh my gosh, how can you not understand as a pony? Ziyue asked in surprise. Pinkie shrugged and said, this is your first shock, but it's already my fourth or fifth shock. So I guess calling him Mr. Miracle isn't wrong? He's full of miracles. The unfamiliar pony could only scratch his head awkwardly. Hours later, after putting down the last book from a pile that looked like a small mountain, Ziyue sighed and said, I'm sorry, I've checked all the relevant books and couldn't find any records about a situation like yours. That I'm afraid I can't help with your cutie mark problem. And no need to apologize, as I said at the start. This isn't a disease, it's just that I still don't know my talent. The unfamiliar pony said calmly, I have to thank you both. Even though you've just met me, you're still willing to lend a helping hoof. But how is this possible? How could a pony not know their talent, even as an adult? Pinkie asked sadly. We just became friends today, but I couldn't help you. What are you talking about? Treating you to that meal is a huge help. I'm very grateful to you. The unfamiliar pony changed his previous demeanor, a genuine smile appearing on his face. And besides, didn't you come up with a name for me? Mr. Miracle. I think that name is great. So I can officially call you Mr. Miracle. Yay. Pinkie celebrated, tossing confetti. Then Sweet Leaf walked over with half-closed eyes, half annoyed, to clean it up. It seems that the cutie mark problem can only be solved by me myself, he said. But just as he mentioned cutie mark, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. That's right. For the cutie mark problem, I should find the Cutie Mark Crusaders. Where can I find them? But Ziyue and Pinkie's reactions were a bit unexpected. Cutie Mark Crusaders? Is there such an organization in Ponyville? Ziyue asked Pinkie. I just got here not long ago, so I'm not very sure. Pinkie, do you know? But Pinkie just shook her head in confusion. I know all the ponies in Ponyville, but I've never heard of the Cute Brigade. Who are they? The unfamiliar pony, Mr. Miracle, opened his mouth wide. It seemed the situation was more complicated than he thought. It's Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo. You don't know them? They formed the Cute Brigade. I've never heard of them, Pinkie said. Mr. Miracle covered his face with one hoof, looking regretful. The purple pony in front of him didn't even have wings yet, which meant that even if he approached the Cute Brigade, they couldn't help him because the organization wasn't fully established. In fact, it hadn't even been formed yet. It's too early, he muttered quietly. What's too early? Pinkie just hoped his problem could be resolved. Soon she hated seeing other ponies sad. Chapter 2. The news of a new little pony arriving in Ponyville had already spread throughout the town. To be precise, many little ponies had already seen this newcomer. He was an ordinary, nondescript light brown color, with plain black mane and eyes, and his mane shape looked very average, just like most stallions. But one thing stood out enough to be considered unique. He had no cute markings. Ponyville was generally known for its simple folk customs, so no one discriminated against him. But it was inevitable that there would be gossip, rumors, and curiosity behind his back. This little pony didn't mind much. Knowing that it was a common occurrence among ponies, compared to the treatment Cola received, not isolating him was already good enough. Oh wait, Cola hadn't appeared yet. He had no place to stay but lied about having a thatched cottage outside the town. This was a lie fabricated out of a minimal sense of pride. For the past 2 days, Pinkie had been taking him around various shops and stalls in Ponyville, hoping to help him find a job, but there had been no progress. It seemed just as he said. He had no special skills. To be precise, he knew quite a bit in terms of knowledge, but when it came to practical application, it was a disaster. He couldn't use his hooves, his mouth, his strength wasn't enough, and his limbs lacked coordination. making him extremely clumsy in everything he tried to do. When making pastries, he would spread batter, flour, and egg liquid all over the kitchen. And when taking things out of the oven, he would burn himself. When cooking ordinary dishes, he would wave the spatula around randomly, either burning the food or leaving it half-cooked. And he couldn't even serve dishes properly. When doing physical labor, he was neither fast nor strong, and could not move an inch of what smaller ponies could lift. As for more delicate tasks, forget it. He couldn't write well, and couldn't read pony script. And even if someone were willing to hire him, they wouldn't be able to. Before finding a job, his meals were entirely covered by Pinkie. But the more this happened, the more disheartened he became, and the more he resisted her help. He would rather go outside and nibble on grass than trouble his friend again. She had helped him so much, and he had nothing to repay her with. On the fourth day, he returned to his previous wandering life. Pinkie still wanted to help him, but Zeus suggested that she wait for a while, letting him sort out his thoughts. Once he decided on his future direction, they could help him then. Although Pinkie was reluctant, she agreed. He often went hungry and then full in the wild, and if he was lucky, he could find many berries. If not, he could only nibble on wild grass and shrubs, which were both harsh on his throat and didn't satisfy his hunger. He would occasionally stroll around the town. After all, he had nothing else to do, and it also allowed him to practice walking on his limbs. He didn't know how long this life would continue. The precondition for ending this lifestyle was that he had to make a change, a huge change, and adapt wholeheartedly to this place. Otherwise, he would never experience the joy of being a pony. He was unaware of this, nor could he be aware of it unless some pony, or some ponies, helped him realize it. One particular young female pony was quite eye-catching, entirely light yellow with a smooth, bright red mane, wearing a large bow on her head, and having 2 sparkling orange eyes. "Goodbye, Susie," she said to a young pony wearing purple glasses with red mane. It wasn't that she didn't fit in, but she had made plans with her favorite sister, Applejack, in advance. They had agreed to play games together that afternoon, and considering how busy Applejack usually was, this opportunity was quite precious. She trotted along the road, but soon felt something was off, as if some pony was closely following her. When she stopped, the footsteps behind her stopped. When she ran, the footsteps followed. However, it turned out she wasn't overthinking it. There was indeed a pony following her. And this feeling was especially pronounced when she turned onto a secluded path. The more she thought about it, the more scared she became, and the more afraid she got. The more flustered she became, suddenly speeding up, her bow bouncing. So she stopped and hesitantly turned to look about 100 or 200 meters away. A light brown pony was sitting on the ground, hugging its knees, and she couldn't see much more than that. This distance was a bit unexpected for her. She thought the other pony was very close, but it turned out to be 100 or 200 meters away. In fact, ponies have very good hearing, and they can hear many sounds from a long way off. Apple Lily simply forgot this point because she was nervous. As she walked nervously to about 20 meters away, he saw her and called out, "Hey, Apple Lily." This shout startled Apple Lily, making her want to turn and run. How did he know her name? She clearly didn't know him. The strange pony, who was Miracle Man, realized that Apple Lily had already known he was behind her, which was why she suddenly sped up midway. He thought she was in a hurry to get somewhere. This indicated that she must have been scared by him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have behaved like this. So he sheepishly explained, "I was deliberately keeping my distance, thinking you wouldn't hear me. I'm really sorry for scaring you. If you're willing, you can call me Miracle Man, or any name you like. I truly mean no harm." This explanation seemed to be effective. Apple Lily's expression softened a bit, and she then asked, "But why were you following me? I don't even know you." However, there was indeed one purpose. He wanted to talk to her. The reason he had been following her all along was that he hadn't figured out how to start the conversation. And now, given the situation, he had to speak up. "I actually just wanted to chat with you. You can probably guess that I just arrived in Ponyville recently. I know I'm being too forward. Please forgive me," Miracle Man said glumly. Apple Lily raised an eyebrow suspiciously, unsure whether to believe him. Applejack and Teacher Caney had taught her not to talk casually with strange ponies, although Ponyville had simple folk customs. One couldn't rule out the possibility of an outsider pony having ill intentions. The strange pony in front of her just happened to be from outside. Miracle Man knew he had gone too far. He slowly stood up, letting out a hissing sound from his scraped knee, and prepared to leave. "Once again, I'm very sorry for scaring you. I didn't mean to. I think I'd better leave." "Wait," Apple Lily called out from behind. "You look very down. Can I know why?" Miracle Man turned his head and saw that Apple Lily was no longer afraid. He sighed again and said, "Sure, there's nothing to hide." He then shared his experiences from the past few days, mainly about his struggle to find a job. As Apple Lily listened and pondered, she concluded, "So you wanted to talk to me because you thought I could help you?" This was a bit complicated, but at that moment, he indeed thought so. How strange. I've never seen an adult pony asking a young pony for help. Apple Lily muttered to herself in a childish voice. Are you not an adult pony, just taller? Shouldn't you be the same age as me? Is it a disease or a hereditary trait? Or both? Miracle Man was almost amused by this young pony's imagination and explained, I am indeed an adult, no doubt about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so concerned about finding a job. Then what do you think I can do to help you? Well, like I said, it's complicated. In short, regardless of what I thought before, it seems I was mistaken now, Miracle Man said sincerely, then apologized again and prepared to leave. However, his scraped knee was a bit serious, causing him to make strange noises as he walked. I didn't expect you to understand so much at such a young age. He laughed. Of course. Teacher Caney taught us a lot of things, Apple Lily said proudly. But Applejack, she's my sister. Always thinks I'm just a little sister who needs taking care of, but I can actually take care of myself. Haha, I believe you. Explaining this was still quite complicated. As I said before, I can't use my hooves, nor my mouth. I can't read, can't write, and I'm weak. I'm the most useless pony you've ever seen. Is it really that serious? Apple Lily clearly doesn't believe it. If you really can't do anything, how did you grow up this big? You're a pony, and ponies have to learn to use their hooves and teeth from a young age. But the fact is, I can demonstrate it for you if you don't believe me. So, Apple Lily took out some paper and 2 pencils from her saddlebags, laid them on the ground, then stepped on the front end of one pencil with her front hoof to make it tilt up, and picked up the back end of the pencil with her mouth. She then gently held the end of the pencil with her teeth, and by moving her lips up and down, the pencil started to write naturally on the paper. Mr. Miracle tried to mimic her, but only managed to bite down on the middle of the pencil, with the tip and the end on either side. This forced him to tilt his head awkwardly, pointing the tip down, making it hard for him to write well, and his neck was sore from the position. So you really can't do it, Apple Lily exclaimed. I told you so. Mr. Miracle, disappointed, dropped the pencil and sat down dejectedly. How about trying to run? After saying this, Apple Lily began to trot around him on her short legs. Although she wasn't fast, her movements were very coordinated, unlike his stumbles every 3 steps. Since you can walk, running shouldn't be difficult. Mr. Miracle sighed, and, without much hope, showed her how he ran. His walking was different from regular ponies. Normal ponies step with their left hind hoof, left front hoof, right hind hoof, and right front hoof in sequence, with 3 hooves on the ground at the same time and 1 moving forward. But he moved like a lizard, with his left front hoof and right hind hoof moving together, and his right front hoof and left hind hoof moving together, resulting in only 2 hooves on the ground at a time, while the other 2 moved forward simultaneously. This hoof combination only occurs when a pony is joyfully trotting, but he was using it to walk slowly, which was odd and very uncoordinated. He also couldn't trot. He just sped up this strange lizard movement without any of the liveliness, undulation, or bounce of a pony's trot. So, unsurprisingly, his understanding of galloping or running fast was just speeding up this lizard crawl. No wonder he tripped every few steps. In fact, ponies run with both hind hooves moving together, then both front hooves moving together, with the hind hooves landing first, followed by the front hooves. At any given time, only 1 hoof would touch the ground, while the other 3 would be in the air, which is how they can run fast. No wonder Apple Lily, even as a young foal, could easily leave him behind. It seems you have a lot to learn. I don't understand. As a pony, how could you not have learned these things? I don't understand either. I thought this should be innate, he said, unable to hide his disappointment and embarrassment. If you want to learn, I can teach you, Apple Lily offered. You can teach me some things too, although I haven't figured out what I can learn from you yet. Mr. Miracle couldn't believe his ears, but didn't want to accept. On one hand, she was just a young foal. Who knows if she was just caught up in the moment? There was no guarantee she wouldn't regret it later when her enthusiasm waned. On the other hand, he really didn't want to trouble other ponies again. Sorry, but I can't agree. I really don't want to trouble everyone. What are you talking about? If you don't want to trouble everyone, shouldn't you work harder to learn? Apple Lily said straightforwardly. Teacher Caney taught us that learning is to become a useful pony and to understand the laws of how the world works. You really need to learn those skills now, if those can even be called skills. But learning these takes a long time. Well, you still have to learn, otherwise, you'll never master them. As Apple Lily spoke, she suddenly scratched her head, clearly thinking about what to say next. What did Applejack say? The best time to plant an apple tree is now. The second best time was 20 years ago. No, it should be the best time was 20 years ago. And the second best time is now. Mr. Miracle had to admit she made a lot of sense. Having pride is fine. But what's important is to defend that pride with action. Refusing unnecessary help is understandable, but refusing other ponies necessary guidance shouldn't be the case. He had known this principle for a long time, but hadn't internalized it. It seemed he had more to learn than he had imagined. What's the big deal? We have so many apples at home that we can't even count them. Giving you a few is no problem. As soon as he heard this, Mr. Miracle wanted to shake his head in refusal, but Apple Lily's expression turned fierce, as if she wouldn't take no for an answer. It's settled then, you can't refuse. Don't worry, with so many fruit trees, each tree bears a different number of apples, so no pony will know you ate them. I just feel bad about it. Don't think too much about it. Apple Lily had already made up her mind and led Mr. Miracle towards the sweet apple orchard. I can also introduce you to Macintosh, my big brother, and Granny Smith, my grandmother, and my idol, Applejack. Actually, I already know all of them. But I think it's best to wait until I become a bit more useful before meeting them. I feel too ashamed to meet ponies like this. That's fine. I'm curious why you're helping me so much when you didn't even know me before. Because Teacher Caney taught us that helping ponies is the foundation of happiness. My sister Applejack is also known for her kindness. I just know that helping other ponies is a good thing. I think you have a good teacher and a good sister. You wanted to say that Teacher Caney had a good student and Applejack had a good sister. But that felt a bit too much for two ponies meeting for the first time, so he decided to leave it at that. The two ponies, one big and one small, walked side by side under the sunlight, their shadows initially differing in size, but when they reached a certain position, their shadows looked like they were the same size. Chapter 3. The Cowhide Terminator. Another day ended, and Mr. Miracle completed his learning tasks for the day. This was the 5th day since he started learning from Apple Lily, and he had already mastered walking, trotting, and running. He was still learning letters and writing, but his progress was fast, and it wouldn't be long before he learned everything completely. For instance, he already knew the letters, all 26 of them, corresponding one by one. And words remained unchanged. It was just the writing that was different from what he knew. As long as he learned how to write the 26 letters of ponies, he would naturally learn other words and sentences. He hadn't gone hungry again. The sweet and fragrant apples in the orchard were more than enough. But he definitely couldn't be greedy and would stop eating when he was 6/10 full, vowing to repay later. On the other hand, Apple Lily also learned a lot. But Mr. Miracle doubted if she truly understood, since she sometimes asked very profound questions. Goodbye, Apple Lily. After these few days together, perhaps influenced by Apple Lily's childlike nature, Mr. Miracle became more cheerful and talkative. Goodbye, Mr. Miracle. Apple Lily also seemed to have changed, becoming a bit more composed. Applejack, what are we having today? Applejack put down the basket and patted Apple Lily's head with her hoof, saying, Are you starving, little cupcake? Today we're making apple pie. Yay. Then Applejack began to prepare for baking, complaining as she gathered things. It feels like several apple trees have fewer fruits. I wonder if it's just my imagination. Huh. Apple Lily was a bit incredulous. Could Applejack really know how many fruits each apple tree should have? Did you really count them? So that's how it is. Apple Lily wiped the sweat off her forehead and said, Maybe it's just your imagination. Who would steal our apples? A magician? Who? I've never heard of her. The so-called greatest and most powerful Trixie. Isn't it funny? Who would be so arrogant as to call themselves great and powerful? That's true. I bet she's definitely not the real greatest and most powerful. The next day, news spread in Ponyville that the greatest and most powerful Trixie was coming to perform. The ponies were all curious about this so-called great magician who dared to boast like that. Outside the town, Mr. Miracle had just finished his 6 laps of morning jogging and was resting against a tree when he saw a little pony in the distance. The pony wore a magician's pointed hat, was draped in a purple cloak, was entirely blue, and had a mane that was white with hints of blue. She was pulling a cart behind her, looking quite impressive. Mr. Miracle focused his gaze and immediately recognized who she was and what would happen next. He began to ponder whether he should try to make a change. After thinking for a long time, he finally decided to give a kind reminder. As the pony walked past him without even looking up, he said softly, If you're planning to go to Ponyville, I suggest you perform and leave afterward. Don't tell those old, tired lies. What? Who is speaking? The blue pony looked around and finally fixed her gaze on a light brown, ordinary colt under a nearby tree. Is it you who dared to say this in front of the great and powerful Trixie? What do you mean? I know who you are, Trixie Lululemon, a unicorn magician, and I know you're about to perform magic in Ponyville. Mr. Miracle did not get up and continued to speak calmly, as if he was stating the most ordinary facts. The residents of Ponyville should welcome novel tricks, but lies and bragging? I don't think they would appreciate that. So I suggest you just perform, and you will receive the applause you deserve. Stop telling unnecessary lies, as they will not benefit your performance. Trixie was a bit shocked. Didn't know this pony at all? How did he know her background? Could he also be a magician, skilled in mind-reading tricks? It was very possible. And that would explain everything. Ha ha ha. The great and powerful Trixie would never lie. My accomplishments are all real, with solid proof. Trixie placed a hoof on her chest and closed her eyes proudly. As the greatest unicorn magician, Trixie's magic is a strong guarantee of safety for all ponies. For example, I previously used magic to defeat the Ursa Major. Yes, defeating the Ursa Major, what a childish lie. Mr. Miracle clapped his front hooves, pretending to applaud. I know you are lying. You have never seen the Ursa Major, and the description you used to spin your tail actually describes the Ursa Minor. Trixie's mouth dropped open, but she quickly regained her composure and said with forced calm, I don't know why you want to slander the great and powerful Trixie, but I want to hold it against you because a strong unicorn has a broad mind. I think it's because you can't do anything to me that you're not holding it against me. I don't even know you. Why are you slandering me? I'm not slandering you. I'm just telling you the importance of being down to earth. Why can't you understand? Mr. Miracle sighed. Listen, I think the profession of magician has potential since there aren't too many ponies competing with you. You'd be better off putting your efforts into researching magic instead of concocting lies. I'm saying this for your own good. Enough. It seems the great and powerful Trixie must show you a couple of tricks today to make you convinced. Trixie abruptly took off her hat, and her horns sparkled with light. Witness the extraordinary power of the most powerful unicorn in history. The cart opened a crack, and a piece of hemp rope slithered out, twisting like a snake. How about that? Are you impressed? Not really. Mr. Miracle shook his head. How about this? Just as she finished speaking, a cloud nearby was pulled over and condensed into a storm cloud, which suddenly thundered, scorching a blade of grass. Still not impressed. Trixie let out a shriek, seeming to lose her composure. Impertinent creature. You want to challenge the great and powerful Trixie with words. Then be prepared for the psychological impact of failure. Watch out. The writhing hemp rope immediately bound Mr. Miracle, and the storm cloud struck a lightning bolt on his tail. Now are you convinced? Oh, you're really something, bullying me. The universally acknowledged most useless pony. Really impressive. Mr. Miracle was not angry at all. He just rolled his eyes at Trixie. Come on. You know these are just minor tricks. They might be decent magic performances, but they are nowhere near enough to support the title of the most powerful unicorn. Say what you want. Trixie wasn't listening at all. The great and powerful Trixie is off to find real audience members. You stay here and reflect on your disrespect toward this great magician. With that, she put her magician's hat back on and pulled the cart toward Ponyville. Mr. Miracle's voice called out from behind. I warn you one last time, don't lie. Otherwise, I will personally expose your bluster. But Trixie did not stop for a moment and quickly disappeared from his sight. He was tightly bound by the hemp rope and could only lie on the ground complaining, thinking he shouldn't have meddled in other people's business. Now he had to wait for some pony to pass by and rescue him. An hour later, in Ponyville, Purple Joy and Spike were walking down the road, discussing the 25 spells they practiced in the library. Just then, two tall and thin young unicorns rushed past them, which were Snip and Snail, classmates of Apple Bloom. They said that the great and powerful Trixie had arrived at the town square of Ponyville, and all ponies should witness the super magic of the most powerful unicorn. Purple Joy and Spike exchanged glances and ran after them. In the town square, ponies came to see the performance, crowding the road. Right in front of the town hall, Trixie's cart gradually unfolded, and her voice came from within. Come witness the amazing magic of the greatest and most powerful Trixie in history. As soon as she finished speaking, dark smoke suddenly erupted, causing nearby ponies to cough from the choking fumes. When the smoke cleared, Trixie appeared at the center of the stage revealed by the cart, wearing her magician's hat and cloak. Many ponies in the audience were non-committal, murmuring among themselves. The loudest voices belonged to Applejack, Rainbow Dash, a blue Pegasus with a rainbow-colored mane, and Rarity, a white unicorn exuding elegance with flowing purple wavy mane and tail. Trixie squinted at these troublemakers and nodded curtly. Well, it seems some ponies have different opinions. Who is so foolish as to challenge the greatest magician in history? Don't they know they are facing the most magical unicorn in Ponyville? What makes you think you're so great? Rainbow Dash asked. Because only the greatest and most powerful Trixie can defeat the Ursa Minor with her unique magical prowess. She cast a spell, and the cart's spout sprayed out a large amount of fireworks, constructing a simple scene in the air. It depicted two creatures, an enormous bear and a miniature Trixie. In her explanation, the firework Trixie unleashed a stream of magical light, and the Ursa Minor was defeated, exploding into a cloud of purple sparks. So Snip and Snail, her two most devoted fans, jumped up and began to argue with Spike, who had expressed disbelief. Purple Joy kept stopping Spike, fearing he would slip up and expose himself to scrutiny. Amid the gasps of the ponies, Trixie triumphantly released another round of fireworks. What did that strange pony on the road know? Since she was aware she was the greatest and most powerful unicorn, she naturally had to show it all off. Only then would she receive these pleasant praises. If anyone disbelieved, they were welcome to challenge her. Whatever you can do, the great Trixie can do better. Unable to endure it any longer, Applejack stepped up to challenge her, only to be met with those tricks and pranks. Though Trixie didn't replicate her skills at all, she didn't prove she could do better, yet the audience was still impressed by her grandstanding, unable to think about her little tricks. If it were the old Applejack, she might not have come at all, but after Mr. Miracle mentioned that she should see more of the world and experience different things, it touched her, so she came, only to see her sister get humiliated. Soon, Rainbow Dash was ready to step up, but Applejack thought she probably wouldn't be able to win against Trixie either, and that they were just being unfair. How could these simple Ponyville residents compete? Wait, can the residents of Ponyville not compete against those outside of Ponyville? An idea struck Applejack, and she squeezed through the crowd and headed out to the outskirts. Although Mr. Miracle didn't know many skills, he was indeed the wisest pony she had ever met, and he must have a way to deal with that cheating magician. When she reached the outskirts, she immediately saw Mr. Miracle, all tied up like a cocoon, slowly wriggling on the ground, with his destination being Ponyville. Great! Applejack hurried over and bit through the ropes to rescue him. Mr. Miracle, you need to rush to Ponyville Square. There's a cheating magician. I already know. Who do you think tied me up? Let's talk while we walk, hurry. So, Applejack and Mr. Miracle ran side by side towards Ponyville. To increase their speed, Mr. Miracle let Applejack ride on his back, and he ran at full speed. He was running as well as any other pony now. Applejack, do you remember what I told you about true skills? I remember. You said not to reveal your true skills casually, because then others will know that you don't actually have any true skills. You used your own example at the time. Great. We will defeat her thoroughly. And she won't dare to bully other ponies anymore. Applejack cheered. But Mr. Miracle didn't follow along with Applejack's enthusiasm. Instead, he changed the subject, saying, no, we want to defeat her actively. We will let her defeat herself with her own lies. That way, she will truly learn a lesson. Huh. How specifically do we do that? Just follow my instructions later. The two ponies discussed as they hurried, finally arriving at the town square before Trixie's performance ended. At that moment, Apple Bloom was tied up with rope, Rainbow Dash was left in disarray, Rarity's hair was a mess, and Fluttershy was still pleading with Twilight to intervene. It seemed that the greatest and most versatile Trixie had proven herself to be the most powerful unicorn. Trixie proclaimed proudly on stage, I hope no one doubts me anymore. Trixie widened her eyes, seeing this unfamiliar pony slandering her, making her stomach uneasy. What do you want? Do you want to challenge me? Huh. You don't even have a cutie mark. Yes, that is true. I don't, Mr. Miracle admitted generously, then spoke loudly to the audience. But defeating a challenger does not prove that you are the greatest pony. It only proves that you are slightly better than that pony. Just like if a pony beats me, it only proves they are faster than me, but it doesn't prove they are faster than other ponies. That makes sense. Yes, right. The crowd began to murmur, and the atmosphere of distrust towards Trixie was quickly spreading. This made Trixie furious. The applause and cheers she had worked so hard to earn were now dissipating because of his few words. So what do you want to say? If no pony dares to challenge me, doesn't that prove I'm better than them? Some might be afraid, while others might just not want to. For example, everyone knows Rainbow Dash is the fastest pony in Ponyville, but she wouldn't race against a newborn Pegasus, right? Isn't that the same logic? Yes, exactly. So, are there ponies who are actually capable, but just don't want to bully Trixie? Enough. Trixie was even angrier and stepped forward, saying slowly, what exactly do you want me to do to convince you that I am truly great and versatile? Simple. Who is universally recognized as the greatest pony? That's right. It's Princess Celestia. If you can prove you are more powerful than Princess Celestia, then we will truly acknowledge you. As soon as these words were spoken, the square fell silent. They couldn't have heard that right, could they? Prove she is more powerful than Princess Celestia? Princess Celestia is the head of the school for gifted unicorns, the ruler of Equestria, the great sorceress who controls the sun, the magnificent Alicorn Princess. Can Trixie really do that? The audience began to murmur again. Trixie's smile returned somewhat, but Mr. Miracle's smile grew even wider, causing her to break out in a cold sweat, feeling an ominous premonition. You say you defeated the Ursa Minor. How exactly did you defeat it? Mr. Miracle asked while throwing a playful glance at the surrounding ponies. His confident gaze was in stark contrast to Trixie's evasive eyes. As I just demonstrated, I defeated it with magic. Well then, demonstrate it again for us to see. What? I said, demonstrate it again for us to see. Mr. Miracle raised his chin slightly, and Applejack nodded, walking up to the stage with him, lifting a piece of wood from the stage. We don't have an Ursa Minor here, so let us use this wood instead. Use your magic to break through it. Trixie squinted, stepped forward, and said in a tone only the two ponies could hear, "Are you so sure that I can't do it? Whether you can do it or not, we'll find out. It's just that I already know you can't." Mr. Miracle knew Trixie couldn't do it until she seriously learned magic. She would never be able to shoot magic lasers. Sure enough, after talking big, Trixie faltered, blinking her eyes and gasping for breath. Mr. Miracle seized the opportunity and whispered, "Give it up. There are all these spectators. If you're willing to stop here, I can help you save face. Your reputation won't be damaged at all." "Not a chance." Trixie refused through clenched teeth. Then she took a few steps back, took a deep breath as if to encourage herself, and then focused all her energy on using magic. Her horn flickered with light, even more dazzling than before, and she was sweating profusely, her whole body trembling, indicating that she was using all her strength for this one shot. Mr. Miracle was a bit surprised and had a new appreciation for this boastful pony. To push herself to her limits to maintain a lie was, in a sense, quite remarkable. Unfortunately, exceeding her limits didn't mean she could accomplish something she couldn't do. She had never properly learned how to cast magic lasers. So how could she possibly do it now? All right, you can stop trying. You can't even deal with this piece of wood. Can you still be considered great and versatile? Shut up. Just give the great Trixie a little more time." Just as her horn's light was about to burst forth. For a moment, Mr. Miracle thought she might actually succeed. However, after the flash, her horn only emitted a few magic sparks intermittently, and nothing else happened. The ponies who had been tricked, Apple Bloom and Rainbow Dash, couldn't help but laugh out loud, while Fluttershy's expression was quite complicated. She was relieved that she hadn't shown off, or else she would be the one being roasted on the fire right now. Mr. Miracle shook his head and said, TSK. If I had known this would happen, why did I even bother?" He then nodded at Applejack, who stepped forward, turned her back to the wood, and with a powerful kick, easily broke through the thin piece of wood. "Something a young pony can easily do, and yet you couldn't do it," he continued. Trixie collapsed to the ground as if all her strength had left her, not only physically exhausted, but mentally as well. The audience saw this and began to murmur, shaking their heads and preparing to leave. Trixie was on the verge of tears, but only almost. Instead, she transformed her sadness into motivation and said defiantly, "This proves nothing. I've defeated the Ursa Minor. I am the greatest and most versatile. I can demonstrate it again for you." Mr. Miracle raised an eyebrow, gaining a new understanding of her ability to handle pressure. She continued, "Now I'm going to find the Ursa Minor, right now? By tonight, you'll see the great Trixie return victorious with her spoils." "That's right. What? Is anyone brave enough to come with me?" Trixie asked confidently, as if she was sure no pony would dare follow her. As long as there were no witnesses, she could say whatever she wanted later. Indeed, the Ursa Minor was enormous, with sharp claws and a big mouth that could swallow several ponies whole. Not every pony was as great and capable as Trixie, willing to face such a terrifying, fierce, cruel, and ruthless beast. Her description only scared the ponies more, and few dared to join her, except for Applejack and Rainbow Dash. The two of them figured Trixie wouldn't actually dare to go find the Ursa Minor, and immediately raised their hopes to volunteer as witnesses. However, Mr. Miracle did not seize the moment, or say that this was all part of his plan. He actively stopped Applejack and Rainbow Dash, saying it was enough for him to accompany them. Apple Bloom wanted to go too, but was sternly stopped by Applejack, leaving her to silently pout and protest. Although they had just met this pony, his earlier performance and words left a deep impression on them, and since they indeed had their own matters to attend to, they agreed. Trixie had no idea what he was up to, and it wasn't the right time to lose her temper, so she reluctantly followed him out of the valley. They walked until they reached the outskirts where there were no other ponies, and only then did Trixie speak again. "Do you really want to come along? If I fight the Ursa Minor and accidentally hurt you, that wouldn't be good. Do you really want to force me to find the Ursa Minor? Do you want to see me get eaten by it before you give up?" In her anxiousness, Trixie indirectly admitted her lack of strength. "I don't understand. I don't even know you. Why are you so fixated on me? I haven't done anything to you. Haven't done anything to me? Are you serious? Let me see. First, you tied me up with a rope that won't come undone. Second, you pranked Applejack in front of all the ponies, and her sister Apple Bloom is my good friend. Third, you mocked me in public for not having a cute mark, although I wasn't particularly angry about that one." Trixie looked a bit guilty, but with her personality. Admitting she was wrong was harder than climbing to the sky. "This is all because you provoked me in the first place. If you hadn't said those things when we first met." Mr. Miracle shook his head seriously and said, "Don't you understand? Everything I'm doing is to prevent a greater disaster, both for you and for Ponyville. What if I told you that when you insist on maintaining this lie, It will lead those two unicorn fillies to go looking for the Ursa Minor, and it will actually summon it? What would you say? What? Trixie was immediately shocked. Of course, she didn't believe it at all. Stop joking. Even if the Ursa's den is nearby, how could they possibly find it? They can, I know. That's why I came here alone with you, to give you a chance. Even though I know there's a truly powerful unicorn in Ponyville who can handle the Ursa issue, if your reputation really gets to that point, it will be completely ruined. Trixie still looked incredulous. I never admitted anything. Do you think they will believe me, or you? Don't forget, just now in the town square, you were left speechless by what I said. Mr. Miracle remained unyielding. So what do you want me to do? Act out a scene with me, or rather, I will act out a scene with you. I will say that although you lack the ability to defeat the Ursa, you have the ability to mislead it and confuse it. When it is about to attack Ponyville, you will lead it in another direction. This way, the ponies will realize that you were lying before, and your reputation can be partially salvaged. Misleading the Ursa Minor is also a kind of merit. Trixie was still hesitating, her lips moving, unsure whether to accept or refuse. Mr. Miracle felt that if he had spoken to this extent, and Trixie remained obstinate, then she was no longer worth further assistance. Why are you doing this? Trixie asked, a bit fearfully. You want me to lose face in front of the ponies, but also want to preserve my reputation? Isn't that contradictory? What do you really want? Mr. Miracle wanted to say that he was trying to further prevent her from being jealous of Twilight Sparkle due to losing face, which could lead to another disaster with the unicorn amulet. Rather than let it develop into that, it was better to give her a good lesson now, so she would always remember the importance of being grounded. But he couldn't say that. He had already surprised her enough by mentioning Snips and Snails would go looking for the Ursa. It's just to give you a good lesson. If you want to hold a grudge later, just hold it against me. He could only condense it into this one sentence. You're a twisted psycho, Trixie shouted. But in the end, she still yielded, as if all her pride and self-esteem had been crushed. Fine, I'll do it your way. But remember, this isn't over. If this can help you learn real magic, stop lying, and then use magical lasers to take revenge on me, I will gladly accept it. After saying that, he continued forward, gesturing for Trixie to follow. What do we do now? We need to do a complete act. We have to create traces of you struggling with the Ursa Minor somewhere in the wilderness so that the other ponies will believe it. Both you and I need to have more scars and dirt. In Ponyville, Snips, Snails, and Spike were still discussing whether Trixie was the greatest unicorn. Do you really think so? Why not? Anyway, unless I see an Ursa Minor being defeated right in front of me, I won't believe a word they say. Spike crossed his arms, speaking decisively. I don't believe it. I said, unless I see it in front of me, it's impossible. You're being unreasonable. Snips continued to argue. You're the unreasonable one. Spike shot back without holding back. Spike, you also saw how Trixie's show-off led to her being left speechless by Mr. Miracle. If I also showed off my magic like her, I'm afraid there would be another pony left speechless today. Didn't you see? Mr. Miracle actively exposed Trixie's bragging, and everyone was stunned by him, thinking what he said made so much sense. If you had gone up there, it would have been a different pony stealing the show. Spike coaxed. Twilight immediately stepped on Spike's foot, causing him to fly out due to inertia. She said seriously, I'm not learning magic to show off. What difference would there be between me and Trixie? All right. Your goal in learning magic is more noble. Is that okay? Really? On the other side. Snips and Snails were still pondering Spike's words. Snails, he said pudding is good only if you've tasted it. Do you think that makes sense? I don't think so. Snails shook his head in confusion. For example, pudding made with green peppers, chili peppers, eggplants, etc. You can tell at a glance that it won't taste good. There's no need to taste it. If Mr. Miracle were here, he would be very surprised because he felt this statement contained another level of philosophy. Although hearing is deceiving and seeing is believing, sometimes an obviously unworkable solution or an obviously impossible outcome doesn't necessarily need to be proven through practice. But Snips was not Mr. Miracle. He hadn't even reached adulthood, so he naturally couldn't grasp it. He corrected, that's not the point. He means you have to see it with your own eyes. Oh, so that's how it is. Snails appeared to understand after the fact. So, do you think the same as I do? Snips excitedly rubbed his hooves. What? Are you talking about what to have for dinner? No. I mean we lure the Ursa over and let Trixie defeat it in the middle of town. That way, everyone will definitely believe it. And she will take us as her magic apprentices because of our contribution. Magic apprentices. Awesome. Snail's eyes lit up. Without hesitation, two naive unicorn foals immediately conceived a plan and set off for the Eternal Freedom Forest. It seems that even if Mr. Miracle knew the trajectory of events, he could only do so much to change them. Snip and Snail searched until they found a massive cave as dusk approached in the afternoon. Not knowing how they had managed to avoid the various dangers within the Eternal Freedom Forest, The entrance to the cave was so large that it was clear it was home to an extraordinary creature. The open space outside was scattered with several enormous claw marks. Surprisingly, they weren't scared at all, only relieved to have found the right place. After all, it said that newborn foals aren't afraid of tigers, right? They swaggered inside, and the deeper they went, the darker it became. After just a few minutes, it was pitch black. I can't even see my hooves. How could we possibly find a bear? Snip complained. Wait a minute, Snail said, using all his strength to cast a spell. His horn flickered with a golden light until it stabilized and became steady and lasting. This is much better. But just as the light illuminated the cave, they felt a wave of heat from behind, as if some creature was breathing down their necks. Turning around, they saw an enormous bear glaring at them, its body covered in blue, translucent fur that faintly revealed the starry sky. It had a star symbol on its head and a terrifyingly large mouth. In addition, they had knocked down several trees in a part of the Eternal Freedom Forest, turning the ground over to create the illusion of a giant creature rampaging there. I hope your plan works, Trixie said angrily. In the depths of the town, screams echoed, accompanied by the sounds of buildings collapsing, wooden boards splintering, and a clear roaring noise. Mr. Miracle already knew what was happening. This is what I meant. They really brought the little bear here. What? Trixie was truly shocked. Even though she wanted to disbelieve, the overlapping sounds left no room for doubt. How could this happen? What are we waiting for? Let's hurry. Wait. If that really is the Little Bear constellation, do we even stand a chance? We have to go regardless. In a sense, both you and I are responsible for this, Mr. Miracle said, but his hooves were trembling and his heart was racing. However, he knew there were some things he could and must do. So he disregarded Trixie and rushed forward. Trixie swallowed hard and followed him. In the center of the town, the rampaging Little Bear constellation was attacking every building it saw, while panicked ponies scattered in all directions. Snip and Snail, the culprits, were still running and calling Trixie's name. You were right after all. What do we do now? Trixie asked anxiously. I know a truly powerful pony in Ponyville. You go find her, and I'll distract this bear, trying to prevent it from destroying any buildings. Mr. Miracle took a deep breath, looking as if he had made a significant decision. Wait, I should be the one to distract it, just like you originally planned. What are you thinking? That was just a story we made up together. Mr. Miracle didn't know what to say, realizing he had a completely new understanding of this boastful pony. So he rushed towards the Golden Oak Library as quickly as possible. As for Trixie, she was actually very scared, much more so than Mr. Miracle, but her thirst for fame and fortune overshadowed her fear, giving her the illusion that she would surely succeed in distracting the bear. The bear was drawn to her, also disturbed by the fireworks, and directly chased her away from the town center. But this wasn't a long-term solution. The distance between her and the bear was gradually closing. Fortunately, she managed to evade danger with a few cleverly executed maneuvers. She just hoped the truly powerful pony would appear soon. Just when the situation became extremely urgent, a melodious sound swept in. It was the sound made by the reeds in Ponyville, swaying in the wind. The ponies noticed Trixie and approached, questioning her. Didn't you say you were going to find the Little Bear constellation? How did it turn into it attacking us? Mr. Miracle wanted to continue helping Trixie cover up the lie, but he needed to think carefully about how to say it convincingly. Trixie saw this and realized the cost of lying was too high, finally admitting, I'm sorry, I made up the story about defeating the Little Bear constellation. I really don't have that ability. Mr. Miracle was momentarily taken aback, then looked at her with some relief. However, that relief quickly vanished. The great and all-powerful Trixie proved that although she couldn't defeat the Little Bear constellation directly, she could mislead it away from the town square, which was just as great an achievement. Ponyville didn't suffer further losses. You all have to thank me, the brave and honest Trixie. If you hadn't come to Ponyville, we wouldn't have faced this disaster, said Snip, only to be interrupted by Starlight. Starlight stepped forward to smooth things over, saying, in a sense, that's true. If she hadn't drawn the Little Bear constellation's full attention, I wouldn't have been able to focus so intently on casting my spell. It was because she mentioned the Little Bear constellation that I specifically went to read books and found a way to deal with it. Well, she might have some skills after all, but her magic is so clumsy. Yeah, although she proved herself to be a bit brave, a bit powerful, and a bit great, it still doesn't change the fact that her magic is ugly. It seemed the audience acknowledged one side of Trixie while denying the other, leaving her unsure whether to celebrate or feel distressed. Trixie's face darkened as she pouted and shouted, what do you know? If you can't appreciate my magical performance, that is your loss. I'll go perform elsewhere, and you'll regret it. Dear Princess of the Universe, this week, I learned a very valuable lesson. Not showing off my abilities casually doesn't mean never showing my abilities. When standing up for friends, I should be completely unreserved. On the other hand, whether in words, magic, or magical skills, there is always something worth appreciating, and the key is to use it correctly. Your faithful student, Starlight. Chapter 5. The pony who can predict the future. Mr. Miracle was becoming more and more accustomed to life in Ponyville. He had mastered most of the Earth Pony skills, had a small tent in the countryside to shield him from the wind and rain, and had friends like Cola, Applejack, and Pinkie Pie. The only thing left was to find a job, and then he would truly be a resident of Ponyville. Speaking of Cola, their acquaintance came about naturally. One day, Mr. Miracle was practicing weightlifting in the countryside when he saw a zebra cloaked in a hooded cape coming from the direction of the Eternal Freedom Forest. Any pony who saw her would retreat in fear, but only Mr. Miracle dared to speak to her. Not only did he dare to talk, but he also took the initiative to show her around his humble abode. Cola came to Ponyville once a month, intending to buy special herbs, but she returned empty-handed every time. Mr. Miracle told her that it was because everyone had never seen a zebra and were scared. As long as they knew she was a good zebra, all problems would be resolved. After some ups and downs, with his and Applejack's help, everyone finally dispelled their misunderstanding of Cola, and they became good friends as a result. However, at the same time, some ponies began to doubt Mr. Miracle. He seemed to always make the right decisions, and it appeared that he knew other ponies before they knew him. This was the case with Trixie's incident, the adult dragon creating smoke, and now with Cola, this adult stallion without a Cutie Mark was full of mysteries. When the pixie flies were rampant, he was the only pony following Pinkie Pie to search for musical instruments. Bicky never explained why instruments were needed, but he just knew. And he was even more efficient than Bicky. In the end, the two of them successfully resolved the fly crisis just before the Cosmic Princess's visit. His unusual behavior could initially be explained as coincidence, but what about later? Now his situation had become similar to Cola's before, whenever he appeared in town. The ponies became anxious, but this time, they feared his arrival was due to something significant. However, he just wanted to talk to his friends. In the Cake Couple's candy house, Ziyue, Jinshi, Ru, Yunbao, Applejack, and Suilong gathered together, secretly observing Mr. Miracle through the gauze window. Besides these leading ponies and the dragon, there were also Apple Lily and Bicky, but they had been forcibly brought along. Why do you distrust Mr. Miracle so much? Apple Lily said gloomily in defense of her big friend. He hasn't done anything wrong. On the contrary, he's been doing the right things. Yeah, it's unfair to him. Bicky followed up. That's exactly why we find it strange, Applejack explained. We know he's probably a good pony, but he always seems to know what's going to happen. He must be hiding something. Ziyue was the last pony to believe this. After all, she had long upheld the principles of science and magic, and couldn't believe in the unscientific notion of predicting the future. However, the more Mr. Miracle acted, the more she wavered. She now wanted to show her journey of thoughts to Apple Lily and Bicky. I initially thought it was coincidence. After all, predicting the future is something no magic or potion can achieve. But my friends presented evidence one by one, and I had to believe it, she said. Yunbao chimed in. When the adult dragon came to Ponyville for a nap, he insisted that we bring Ruru. Indeed, Ruru was the one who ultimately solved the dragon problem. But at that time, none of us knew she could do it. I even didn't want to bring her because she was too timid, but he kept encouraging Ruru, convincing us, as if he knew she could do it. Ziyue nodded and continued. It's not just this incident. When the Ursa Minor attacked, he came directly to me. I didn't think there was anything wrong at the time. But looking back now, I hadn't shown any magic that day. And understanding the Ursa's habits and figuring out how to deal with it was only something I did that afternoon. Yet he knew I could do it, even without looking for other ponies. Jinshi also said, the day I had a sleepover with Applejack and Ziyue was the same. While I was still focused on using magic to trim branches, he actively helped Applejack pull the excess branches and even told me why. Applejack was just about to explain it to me, but he spoke up first. When I was arguing with Applejack, he just left. Either he didn't care whether we would fall out, or he already knew we would reconcile. But I can also predict the future. As long as something happens, my whole body reacts. Bicky interjected. I guess he might have a similar talent or hereditary ability, she added. Ruru shook her head. His level is much more serious than that. I think he might be able to read minds because what he does seems a lot like mind reading. What's the difference? Yunbao asked. Mind reading is at least a bit more credible than predicting the future. Ruru's voice grew weaker. What he can do isn't important. What's important is that he has some kind of mysterious ability. Yunbao said loudly. The pixie fly incident was even more ridiculous. We've been with Bicky for so long, and we didn't know why she was looking for instruments until she said it was to deal with the pixie fly problem. But he just came to Ponyville not long ago, and as soon as Bicky said she was looking for instruments, he already knew everything and even explained it to us. Although, Bicky wanted to say, but she was also a bit shaken. I think all of this can be explained. Even if he has some ability, we shouldn't distance ourselves from him. He is our friend. Apple Lily protested. Applejack put her arm around Apple Lily and said earnestly, "My dear sister, you're still young and don't understand. Promise me, until we figure all this out, you will keep your distance from him, okay?" "Not at all," Apple Lily shouted. "I'm not a child. I just know he's my big friend. He makes sense, understands everything, and has taught me a lot." "What do you mean, taught you a lot? You've known him for a long time?" Applejack asked, surprised. "I thought you got close to him after witnessing him expose Trixie." "Oh well." Apple Lily was suddenly at a loss for words, but then she firmly pouted and said, "That's right. We were friends before Trixie came. Why didn't you tell me?" Applejack said angrily, "How could I tell you? You always said not to talk to strange ponies. But you also told me to be willing to help and treat other ponies honestly." Applejack wanted to say more, but Zua stopped her. Zua knew that Applejack was just too concerned about her sister, and everyone actually knew that Mr. Miracle was a good pony. But it was necessary to clarify the mystery surrounding him before continuing to deepen their relationship. God knows whether he is a servant of some evil force. Just because he himself is good doesn't mean the ones behind him are also good ponies. This is not mere speculation. It has been proven that anything is possible in Ponyville. Vicky also recalled the scene of her first meeting with him, knowing he was indeed a strange pony, which was also the reason she called him Mr. Miracle. As a land pony, he couldn't run, couldn't write with his mouth, and couldn't read words. It was indeed strange that he had no cute marks even as an adult. Outside, Mr. Miracle looked around and saw that the ponies seemed to be hiding from him, which gave him a hint, so he sighed and walked towards the outskirts. But if that's the case, what is the meaning of his existence? Did he come here just to be a spectator? Originally, his thoughts were similar, but after being taught by Apple Lily, he felt he should live well and leave his shadow and mark in this world. Maybe he could do both without conflict, doing his own thing while not making everyone feel he was abnormal. But now thinking about this was too late. The result had already come. As he thought and walked, he unknowingly arrived at the small bridge in Ponyville. Looking at this bridge that was both new and incredibly familiar, he couldn't help but smile, not expecting that this time he would be the one pondering life on it. He stood at the top of the arch bridge, looking at the small river below and his reflection, as if he saw another distant place. While he was lost in thought, a familiar childish voice came. It was Apple Lily. Mr. Miracle turned his head and saw her running towards him, out of breath and full of urgency. "You really didn't have to come. I know why they're avoiding me," he said flatly. "You know?" Apple Lily paused for a moment. "You really can predict the future?" Mr. Miracle shook his head. "Not this time. This time it's just pure deduction." "What does not this time mean?" "So, what you did before was really predicting the future." Mr. Miracle sighed deeply, not knowing what to say. But then he thought that true friends wouldn't care about your identity. They would only care about what your true self is like. This was a lesson he learned from the future Zua, and he believed that Apple Lily was his true good friend. "Apple Lily, I have something to tell you about all of this, about my everything." His expression was serious, as if he had made a certain decision. "I just hope this won't scare you. After all, you are still young. I'm not small anymore. I'm not a baby." Apple Lily protested. "Okay, if I tell you I don't belong here, what would you think?" "I've known that for a long time," Apple Lily said with confusion. "You said from the beginning that you came from outside." Mr. Miracle nodded, then shook his head, pondering for a long time before continuing. "Indeed. However, what I meant by not belonging refers to not belonging to Ponyville." "Not belonging to Ponyville? Is there really a second pony country?" Mr. Miracle wanted to tell her that there actually was. A certain empire in the north was the second pony country, but that was not related to the current topic. And there would be plenty of opportunities to talk about it later as long as Apple Bloom was still willing to be friends with him after he finished explaining. To be precise, it's not a pony country. After much consideration, Mr. Miracle finally said that sentence. "I come from a kingdom established by another kind of being, which means I was not a pony before." Apple Bloom stood there dumbfounded, her jaw dropped, her mind overwhelmed by this huge piece of information. Inside the candy house, a few ponies were still discussing whether to be straightforward with Mr. Miracle or continue observing him from the shadows. Applejack felt a bit guilty at this moment, thinking that she had been neglecting Apple Bloom, who had been friends with him for so long, and she only just realized it now. Fortunately, Mr. Miracle was a good pony. She couldn't even imagine what would happen if her sister became friends with another bad pony. "Maybe it's just right. We can have a good talk with him," Twilight calmly said. "At least we know he has a good heart and should be willing to talk to us. If he is unwilling to talk, we can fly up into the sky and wave our hooves." But the ponies on the ground looked at her speechlessly. She had to scratch her head and rephrase, "Let us try to persuade him to talk to us." So the ponies quickly walked out the door and headed straight towards the outskirts, where Mr. Miracle's tent was located. Sweets was instructed to stay behind, which suited him just fine as there were some candy canes and cakes in the back kitchen of the candy house that he could secretly enjoy. They hadn't walked far before they reached the bridge in Ponyville, and from a distance, they saw Apple Bloom and Mr. Miracle talking by the bridge. Applejack, worried, rushed out ahead, followed closely by the other ponies. Apple Bloom, come here quickly. But in fact, she didn't need to say that, because as soon as her words fell, she was already in front of Mr. Miracle, immediately pulling Apple Bloom to her side. Applejack, what are you doing? Apple Bloom futilely tried to break free from her sister's strong forehoofs. I was having a good conversation with Mr. Miracle. There's no need for this. You know I'm not a bad pony, right? Mr. Miracle said. We know, but Applejack hesitated. What you did is quite unbelievable. Can you foresee the future or read minds? Where exactly do you come from? Pinkie Pie walked up dejectedly and asked, although I don't want to say this, are you a pony sent by some evil force? And because you fell in love with Ponyville, you couldn't bear to destroy it. So you didn't do anything bad? Upon hearing this, both Apple Bloom and Mr. Miracle laughed. What are you laughing at? Did I guess wrong? Wait, Pinkie asked. But then she cheered. Great. I guessed wrong, which means you're not an evil minion sent by some evil force. But then she looked thoughtful. But if I guessed wrong, is there a possibility that the latter part of my guess, that you actually still want to destroy Ponyville, is true? All right, enough of that. There is a simple explanation for all this. Mr. Miracle said. Let me explain. Apple Bloom finally broke free from her sister's embrace. He doesn't belong to Ponyville. What? But comes from another mysterious kingdom. Mr. Miracle quickly added. Just like Cora, his hometown is also in a distant place, Apple Bloom explained. But this still doesn't explain why you can foresee the future. Rainbow Dash interjected. Is that really the case? Applejack raised an eyebrow skeptically. It is indeed so, Mr. Miracle added. So there are very few ponies who do real work there. They all think the future cannot be changed, and their own future cannot be changed. But I am different. I believe the future can be changed, so I left home, hoping to find a different land to live in. Just like that? Just like that. Mr. Miracle and Apple Bloom said in unison, wearing polite smiles. Well, Applejack chose to believe it. Although this story sounds made up at first, they all knew that some pony tales are indeed true, and some things that sound false are actually true. The more unbelievable the thing, the more credible it often is. The ponies looked at each other, the heavy stone in their hearts finally dropped, and they also had to apologize for doubting Mr. Miracle. Rainbow Dash stopped flying and landed on the ground, and Applejack took off her hat. Sorry, we misunderstood you. It's okay. In fact, your worries are not without reason. Mr. Miracle said with a smile. Having an all-knowing friend sounds cool, but it's actually quite creepy. Please rest assured, I only foresee certain major events, not every day, every minute, or every second. Would that make you feel better? The ponies looked at each other again and then nodded. So, what are we going to do next? Rainbow Dash asked. Next? Of course, we're going to throw Mr. Miracle an awesome welcome party. Pinkie suddenly jumped up, pulling out a stack of party hats from who knows where. It should have been done long ago. Wait. Mr. Miracle stopped her. Pinkie, I appreciate your kindness, but I want to wait until I find a job and use my own money to throw a party. What do you think? That is fine, after all. It doesn't matter if it takes a few more days. Pinkie stuffed the party hats into her mane. Find a job? Applejack said. Why didn't you say so earlier? I think our sweet apple acres could use some help. Really? Can I work at your place? That doesn't count as my word. Applejack scratched her head and said, although it seems like Sweet Apple Acres is managed by me and Big Macintosh, the actual big boss is Granny Smith. She would agree. Apple Bloom said. I sometimes need a temporary assistant too, AJ added. You really should have mentioned this earlier. We thought you had your own things to do outside of town. Fluttershy said. I didn't say it before because I felt I wasn't capable of these jobs. But now, he looked at Apple Bloom, then at Pinkie, and continued, I think I should be able to do well. Do you think we can keep this story hidden from them forever? Apple Bloom asked. There's no need to hide it forever. I don't plan to keep it hidden for that long, Mr. Miracle said. The reason for saying it now is just that they might find it hard to accept. When the time is right in the future, I will reveal everything. This is quite complicated. Maybe in the future, you'll know without me saying, Mr. Miracle said. But I hope that no matter what, we remain good friends. Of course. 2 ponies, one big and one small, high five to make a vow. Chapter 6, The Cute Brigade. Afternoon, the full school in Ponyville let out, and the foals walked out of the schoolhouse one after another, discussing the adorable symbols they learned today. Everyone looked very happy, except for one foal, and that was Apple Bloom. She walked alongside Twist with her head down, feeling gloomy. And no matter how Twist tried to comfort her, it was of no use. In front of the two of them were 2 haughty foals, one completely light pink, with a wavy mane interspersed with white stripes of light purple, wearing a small crown, the other completely gray, with light grayish-white mane tied in a small braid. Wearing blue glasses and a pearl necklace. They were Tiara and Silver Spoon, both very wealthy and quite snobby, which was how Mr. Miracle had described them when he and Apple Bloom talked about them before. Apple Bloom pursed her lips. Tiara continued to talk, as if giving a speech, circling around Apple Bloom and Twist as she spoke. Don't worry. Even though you don't have adorable symbols, I will still invite you to my adorable symbol party. A luxurious and enjoyable party, Silver Spoon chimed in. Apple Bloom couldn't stand their show-off behavior and suddenly remembered what Mr. Miracle had taught her. That was after she exposed Trixie. Apple Bloom began to take an interest in Mr. Miracle's way of speaking. Mr. Miracle certainly wouldn't make her recite his quotes word for word. Instead, he would share his knowledge subtly through their interactions. Now it was time to test the results. Yes, your cute symbol is indeed worth celebrating, Tiara, Applejack said with half-closed eyes. But Miss Canny said that a cute symbol represents innate talent, distinguishing you from other little ponies. Yet I don't know what your cute symbol actually signifies. But you are neither a princess nor commanding other little ponies. All you do is show off in front of me and Twist. Applejack paused and pretended to think. Maybe you don't actually know its meaning, otherwise. Why would you be doing nothing all day? Twist thought for a moment and agreed, saying, yeah. Applejack's symbol is an apple, so she often deals with apples. Rainbow Dash's symbol is a rainbow lightning bolt, so she practices flying skills often. Pinkie Pie's symbol is a party balloon, so she often hosts parties for little ponies. Applejack nodded and continued, exactly, they often showcase their talents. But Tiara, I have never seen you display your talent. What does your symbol actually represent? And Silver, your symbol is a spoon. What does that represent? Upon hearing this, Tiara and Silver exchanged a glance, speechless. They had never thought about this question. Their memories of getting their symbols were vague. It seemed they had discovered their talents by chance, but did not continue to explore them, failing to deepen their impressions. So they had forgotten how they discovered them in the first place. That is not important. Anyway, my party is this weekend. You can come or not. It's up to you. Tiara finally said this and quickly left with Silver. He just happened to pass by and decided to wait a bit longer in front of the school, thinking he could talk to Applejack about today's lessons. Then he heard the things Applejack had just said. The good news was that she had taken his words to heart. But the bad news was that she only heard half of it. He stepped aside to let Tiara and Silver pass before walking towards Applejack. Mr. Miracle, what brings you here? Applejack asked, somewhat surprised, then introduced the two little ponies. Twist, this is my big friend, Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle, this is my good friend, Twist. Hello, Twist shyly greeted, then whispered to Applejack, I thought your big friend just meant someone big in size, but he is actually an adult pony. Hello, Twist. Actually, I know you, Mr. Miracle said, winking at her. If you're going to Tiara's party, I suggest you bring some candy canes. Candy canes? Good idea. Twist nodded, quickly said goodbye to Applejack, and then hurried off. Why did you suggest she bring candy canes? Did you? You're overthinking it. Remember? I said I can only foresee major events, Mr. Miracle said flatly. Let us not talk about that. I need to discuss what you just said. You heard it? Did I say it well? Applejack said happily. You should have seen the expressions on Tiara and Silver's faces. Mr. Miracle shook his head and said, listen, words can be weapons, but before you speak, you should think carefully. Applejack was silent for a long while before nodding. So repeat what I said to prove you were listening. Words can be weapons, but before you speak, you should think carefully. I understand. Very good. So will you go to Tiara's party? Applejack immediately shook her head vigorously. No way, absolutely not. I don't have a cute symbol. They will laugh at me. But then she glanced at Mr. Miracle's body, which was also empty, and suddenly her face brightened. Unless you go with me. With you there? I won't be afraid of their laughter. Ah, so frustrating. Applejack watched Mr. Miracle's retreating figure, feeling down. She didn't even know what was so great about that party. Maybe making new friends didn't seem like a sufficient reason. She could only ask Applejack again to see what she thought. The next day, Saturday, the day of Tiara's party. Early in the morning. She discussed this with Applejack and expressed that she didn't want to go for fear of being laughed at by the other little ponies. Applejack mentioned that their family was always the last to get their symbols, so maybe Applejack would be the same. But Applejack thought that since her family's symbols were all related to apples, she just needed to work harder in that area to quickly get her symbol. And then she could go to the party. Unfortunately, the result was not as expected. She seemed to have no talent for selling apples. Applejack hadn't started teaching her the knowledge of business. Miss Canny hadn't mentioned it, and Mr. Miracle hadn't brought it up either. In the end, Applejack suggested she go with Twist and just not think about getting a cute symbol in one day. However, when she found Twist, she discovered that the latter had suddenly gotten her symbol, 2 crossed candy canes. I always wanted to make delicious sweets. And now I've just realized that this is my talent, Twist said happily. That day after I heard Mr. Miracle's suggestion, I suddenly got very excited. As if there was a passion driving me. When I was making candy canes, bam, the symbol appeared. When making candy canes, he tricked me again, he clearly knew. Applejack pouted. What? Oh, it's nothing. I'm just worried about not having a symbol. We can still go to the party together. You will come, right? Twist asked sincerely. Maybe. As long as I get a cute symbol first. After that, Applejack left with her head down. Mr. Miracle was very honest about many things. Even willing to tell her secrets that didn't belong to Ponyville. But when it came to foreseeing the future, he always kept quiet. Either pretending not to know or explaining that he was afraid of causing unnecessary influence. With just one sentence, he helped Twist get her cute symbol. So could he foresee hers as well? He knew Twist's, so he must know hers too. As long as she asked and then did as instructed, bam. The symbol would appear, and then she could attend Tiara's party. So she spent the entire morning looking for Mr. Miracle. He hadn't said what he would do on the weekend, but she checked all possible places he might be, without any sign of him. However, just when she was looking at the last possible location, the Carousel Boutique, she didn't find Mr. Miracle but encountered another foal her age. She was all white, with light purple and light pink curled mane and tail, and green eyes. She was also a unicorn. As soon as Applejack entered the store, she saw this unicorn complaining next to Rarity, but Rarity seemed a bit busy and wasn't listening very attentively. Tiara's party is this afternoon. But I still haven't gotten my cute symbol, the lovely unicorn said dejectedly. I've tried weaving, sewing, and modeling, but nothing works. They will definitely laugh at me. Dear sister, Rarity paused, looking at the pile of dreadful scraps on the side, considering her words. Maybe you should try something outside of clothing. Sorry. I can't help you. I have a set of clothes I'm rushing to finish. Can it wait until tomorrow? Please, please, please. Rarity looked awkwardly at her sister clinging to her leg, and suddenly noticed Applejack, her face lighting up. Hey, sweetie darling, look who's here. Sweetie Belle looked up and felt that this pony with a bow seemed familiar. Applejack also thought this unicorn looked familiar. I remember now, we're classmates. Applejack exclaimed. Oh right. Sweetie Belle nodded in agreement. But Rarity looked a bit confused and asked, how come you two feel like you just met even though you're classmates? In fact, this is not the fault of the two little ponies. On one hand, the young ponies at school start in mid-August, and it's normal for them to not know each other well since they just enrolled. On the other hand, Sweetheart Baby has been living with Jinchi's parents. And Apple Lily and Sweetheart Baby have hardly met before. Did Tiara invite you to the party when you mentioned it? Apple Lily asked. Sweetheart Baby replied. She invited the whole class, so I'm worried. That's great. I mean, I'm not alone after all, Apple Lily said, revealing her thigh, which was just as empty as Sweetheart Baby's. Oh my, you don't have a cute mark either. Since neither of us has a cute mark, I was wondering if we could just skip the party? Apple Lily suggested. Skip? That doesn't sound right, Jinchi interrupted. You both don't have cute marks. So you can go together. It's good to meet other ponies at the party and see the world. She paused, then whispered. As long as I can quietly finish my orders. What? Sweetheart Baby asked innocently. Nothing, Jinchi said with a polite smile. Anyway, I strongly recommend you go together. Apple Lily and Sweetheart Baby exchanged worried glances. Clearly, they were both afraid of being laughed at the party. Suddenly, Apple Lily had a bright idea and said, let us not give up yet. We can use the remaining time to try new things. What if we get our marks before the party? Yeah, that is a great idea. So the two young ponies hurriedly left the fashion store. Jinchi watched them go, sighed in relief, wiped off her sweat, and then started working hard on the outfits. An hour later, Apple Lily and Sweetheart Baby sat dejectedly by the roadside, their disappointed expressions identical. They had tried several activities but couldn't do any of them well. The more they tried, the less confidence they had, and the more anxious they became. Which only made things worse. Forget it, there's no way we're getting our marks today, so we're not going. But after what Jinchi said, I want to go now. Me too, but we don't have cute marks. Wow, looks like we have two little ones with dark clouds over their heads. Yunbao suddenly appeared and said to them, let me clear that up for you. It turned out they really had a cloud over their heads, and Yunbao pushed it away, bringing it down in front of them. What's wrong, little ones? Apple Lily took a deep breath and said, this afternoon Tiara is having a cute mark party. And all the ponies in class are going because they all have marks. We want to go too, but we don't have marks. So how can we go to the party? My sister says we'll get them sooner or later, but we want them now? Cute marks? I thought it was something serious. I can get you one right away. But Applejack said it takes time, Jinchi said. Yunbao rolled her eyes and pouted. Why wait for something that can be done right away? But Apple Lily and Sweetheart Baby said in unison. Hey, who are you planning to listen to? Applejack and Jinchi? Or me? The first pony in class to get a mark, Yunbao said confidently. Apple Lily and Sweetheart Baby exchanged glances and rekindled their hope. Then they tried various sports under Yunbao's guidance: juggling, gliding, karate, kite flying, and short track speed skating, but they made no progress at all. Tried this, tried that. Tried this too. Yunbao checked off activities on the whiteboard, crossing off almost 2/3 of them. Apple Lily and Sweetheart Baby glumly watched Tiara and Silva walk by. They initially wanted to avoid those two ponies, but the long hours of exercise left them exhausted. It's over. I'll never get a cute mark in my life. Apple Lily screamed. It's over. I'll never find something I'm good at. Sweetheart Baby echoed. Good at something? Pinkie suddenly appeared in front of them. I see you're best at eating cupcakes. Best at eating cupcakes? The two young ponies and Yunbao asked in unison. Pinkie jumped up and repeated, eating cupcakes. Yay. I mean, we really appreciate your help. Yunbao, you're a great coach, but Apple Lily tried to be as tactful as possible. But Sweetheart Baby immediately interjected. We have cake to eat. Then the two young ponies bounced along behind Pinkie. Yunbao looked on suspiciously, pondering, is there really a pony talent for eating something? I can't even imagine what kind of mark that would be. She shook her head and left as well. However, Pinkie called them over, but there was no ready-made cake. They had to make it from scratch. The result was, of course, a complete mess. With the entire kitchen filled with batter, flour, and scrambled egg liquid, just like when Mr. Miracle was applying for a job. Now I know why you could become friends with Mr. Miracle. Pinkie smiled at Apple Lily. It's over. I'll just resign myself to the fact that I'll never get a cute mark. Not necessarily, right? Sweetheart Baby said slowly. I think our result is pretty good. She was referring to a dozen black, hard, mysterious food items. In fact, she and her parents were not very sensitive to the taste of food. Just then, Ziyue walked in. Apple Lily rushed over as if she had found a savior and explained, please help us. The cute party is today, all the ponies will go. And we want cute marks too, but we can't juggle, glide, do karate, fly kites, short track speed skate, or make cupcakes. Without marks, we will definitely be laughed at. They say marks can't just appear, but we want them now. Calm down. How can I help you? You can use magic to give us marks, Apple Lily suggested. Wait, can that work? If I had known, I would have asked Shinchi to do it for me. Sweetheart Baby said nonsensically. Ziyue shook her head and said, of course not. All ponies have to discover their cute marks on their own. But she couldn't resist Apple Lily's pleading and agreed to give it a try. The result, of course, was that the marks would only exist for a moment before disappearing without a trace. There's no hope. No hope. Apple Lily cried as she walked out of the kitchen, thinking she could never go to the party and couldn't be laughed at by the other ponies. Then she saw that the bakery outside the kitchen was brightly decorated, with balloons, party hats, punch, streamers, and cakes all in place. How could I forget the time? How could I forget that this party is at the Sugar Cube corner? Apple Lily lamented. I thought you knew. You should have asked. I could have told you. Sweetheart Baby said from the side. Sweetheart Baby, with her eyes spinning, said, I think this might be a bit difficult. Sure enough, the two young ponies' goal was too big. They were stopped before they even reached the door by Tiara. Well, look who's here. Tiara said in an overly sweet tone. Looks like you found a companion. You can only go with another pony without a mark. Well, I have a mark. Apple Lily insisted without flushing or skipping a beat. What? When did you get one? Sweetheart Baby asked straightforwardly. Tiara and Silva burst out laughing. Your bare bottom has already betrayed you, and you still say you have one? This is a cute mark that only clever ponies can see. What? Sweetheart Baby, Tiara, and Silva all asked in shock. I said, this is a cute mark that only clever ponies can see. Apple Lily confidently recounted a fairy tale Mr. Miracle had told her, but she was still only half listening, not thinking carefully about the meaning and implications behind it. Do you see it? Or are you just not clever enough? After saying that, she winked at Sweetheart Baby, signaling her to help speak. Sweetheart Baby was initially puzzled, but Apple Lily's frantic winking made her realize. So she supported, saying, yes, that's right. This is a cute symbol that only clever little ponies can see. And I see it is, an apple? That's right, an apple. A golden apple that only clever little ponies can see. Silver exclaimed loudly. You're lying. There's nothing there. But Tiara hesitated a bit. Vain as she was, she certainly didn't dare admit that she wasn't smart enough to see the symbol. Indeed, she didn't believe at all that there was such a magical symbol. But what if? She didn't want the other ponies to think she was stupid. I see an apple. It's quite nice, Tiara stammered. Tiara, what are you talking about? There's clearly nothing there, Silver said in disbelief. Ziyue wouldn't be harsh with the little ones. She gently said, not having a symbol is not a big deal. All ponies will eventually have one. It's just a matter of time. You should try to work hard in this area rather than satisfy yourself with lies. I understand, Ziyue, I'm sorry, Apple Lily said softly. I've learned too. I shouldn't help her lie, Sweetheart said. I told you, such a braggart. Bare bottom. Silver and Tiara laughed again. Tiara's expression changed so quickly, completely forgetting how she had just admitted that Apple Lily had a symbol. So what if there's no symbol? Zus stepped forward and retorted. Yeah, so what if it's a bare bottom? Another voice said, coming from under the table. The little ponies turned their heads to see a little Pegasus with a golden yellow body and flowing cherry-colored mane and tail. A bare bottom means she's not special at all, Silver insisted. The little Pegasus crawled out from under the table and said seriously, no. It precisely means they have potential. The future could be limitless. They could be artists, writers, scientists, or even mayors. Unlike you, who are already set in your ways. Wow. She makes a lot of sense. I wanted to say that too, Sweetheart exclaimed. Tiara felt a bit embarrassed and questioned. Who are you? Why are you speaking up for them? Because the little Pegasus showed her bare thigh, which was also empty. Wow, what Jinchi said about fate is true. Sweetheart exclaimed again. The little Pegasus laughed. I thought I was the only one without a symbol. Zus stepped forward to summarize. I think they are lucky. In the future, they will still experience the surprise of finding their talents. Applejack also arrived at the party, adding, and there's plenty of time to discover talents, not just one afternoon. The spotlight of the party thus fell on these three little fillies. Tiara and Silver could only huff and walk to the other side in frustration. I'm Apple Lily. I'm Sweetheart. I'm Zimulu, said the little Pegasus. Apple Lily then said, since we are friends now, and we have been underestimated by Tiara and Silver, we can work together to find the cute symbols. Yay, we can form a secret society. Sweetheart excitedly said, let us call ourselves the cute Three Musketeers. Zimulu suggested, let us call ourselves the super cute beautiful Three Ponies. Sweetheart proposed, how about we call ourselves the cute Symbol Scouts, for short, the Cute Legion. Apple Lily pondered. Okay, that is a great name. The other two little ponies agreed in unison. Apple Lily felt that today was the happiest day, even though there were many ups and downs. But she had made two new friends and formed her own secret society, and all of this was within Mr. Miracle's expectations, right? Wait, I know another pony who also doesn't have a cute symbol. Maybe he can join us in finding our talents, Apple Lily added. That's great. Let him join our cute Symbol Scouts, Zimulu blurted out. But Apple Lily said a bit awkwardly. Well, there's a small problem. He's an adult pony. What? An adult pony? Without a cute symbol? The two little ponies asked in shock. Apple Lily nodded. That's a bit problematic. After all, we call ourselves scouts, don't we? Zimulu asked. It's okay. He can be our honorary member, Sweetheart said. Besides, adult ponies are usually very busy, like my sister Jinchi. She probably can't join us often. An honorary member might be just right for him. The three little ponies all agreed to this proposal and then happily went to the center of the party to dance. Zue watched their lovely figures and silently noted this week's journal. Dear Princess of the Universe, I am very happy to report my insights this week. Each of us little ponies wants to know our talents and special traits as soon as possible. Sometimes this can be a long and arduous journey, which may frustrate you and make you feel overlooked. But the most important thing is to be down to earth and to know that you are never alone. On this road, we will all make true friends who share the same ideals. Your loyal student, Zue. Chapter 7, The Cute Legion and the Underground City Mr. Miracle joined the Cute Legion and became an official honorary member. At first, he didn't really want to join. After all, he thought they were a bit childish. But considering their future development, perhaps joining wouldn't be a bad thing. So why call it an official honorary member? It's because, apart from the title, his treatment was exactly the same as theirs. He could participate in Cute Legion meetings, vote, and could go along with them anytime. In fact, because of his status as an adult pony, he could be absent at will. Besides that, he also had to help other little ponies with tasks. For instance, when the Fashion Emperor came, he helped Jinchi organize a fashion show. When Biki showed her precognitive abilities, he took the tests and research with her under Zu's supervision. Although they didn't come up with anything in the end, he would help Applejack pick apples, even though it took him 3 or 4 kicks to finish one tree. But he was diligent and earned the Apple family's praise. He would help Shinchi dye fabrics, even though some close colors couldn't be separated. But he was very serious and would ask if he didn't understand. He would help Ruru buy pet food and miscellaneous items. As she wasn't good at dealing with other ponies, so he took care of those things. He would help Biki throw parties, mainly doing the supporting work and chores. At least he wouldn't go wrong with those. For the first time, he felt his life was fulfilling. Tiring, but fulfilling. Finally, the weekend arrived, and he could finally take a break, but he didn't know where to relax. At that moment, Zimulu came skating with a skateboard, pulling Apple Lily and Sweetheart to the outskirts, in front of his tent. Mr. Miracle, today is Sunday. We've planned a whole day of cute symbol action. You have to come, Apple Lily said. Mr. Miracle lay in the tent, poking his head out, looking quite troubled. What is your plan again? We're going to Cloud City. What? Mr. Miracle couldn't believe his ears. Say that again. Where are you going? We're going to Cloud City, Simulu said. You should know that only Pegasi can walk on clouds, right? Mr. Miracle raised an eyebrow and asked. Apple Lily nodded. We know. But we'll go up in a hot air balloon, not stand on the clouds. Sweetheart continued. Cloud Chaser is going to participate in the Best Young Flyer competition, and Applejack, Jinshi, Ruru, Ziyue, and Biki are all going up to cheer for her. We want to go too. And we heard Cloud Chaser is going to perform the legendary Sonic Rainbow. We absolutely can't miss it. Simula chimed in. Wait, since they're already going to cheer for Cloud Chaser, that means the hot air balloon has already been used by them. Do you still have a hot air balloon? No. The three little ponies shook their heads in unison and then shouted loudly. So we decided to make one together. Cute Legion hot air balloon operation, yay. We thought if you helped us, it would work. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this plan, Apple Lily added. Mr. Miracle felt a bit of a headache and thought for a while before saying, I guess you won't be able to make a hot air balloon either. So you probably need to get the relevant instruction manual first. That's right. Cute Legion hot air balloon instruction manual action, yay. The three young colts seemed to have anticipated this and shouted decisively. Just having the instruction manual isn't enough. We also need various materials. That's right. Cute Legion hot air balloon materials action, yay. We also need a route map to Cloud City. Cute Legion hot air balloon route map action, yay. Mr. Miracle looked at the excited three young colts and felt a bit reluctant to pour cold water on them. But this plan really had too many loopholes. I guess by the time we finally manage to build the hot air balloon, the young pilot competition will already be over. Oh yeah. How did we not think of that? Sweetheart Baby said. Yeah, based on my building experience, making a hot air balloon will take at least a day, Apple Lily said. Huh, that's frustrating. Smart Lulu pouted. Mr. Miracle raised an eyebrow and said, since you know it will take a day, you should have started yesterday. But we only came up with this plan this morning. We didn't even know about the competition yesterday, Sweetheart Baby said. Mr. Miracle covered his face with one hoof. He had to remind himself that these three colts were still young, so he wouldn't let his blood pressure rise. From now on, you need to remember, plans should be made early. Understand? The three colts sighed in disappointment. Just then, Smart Lulu had a flash of inspiration and said, don't give up. Friends, if the hot air balloon won't work, we can still find other ways to get into the sky. What methods? The two colts asked. Apple Lily couldn't help but exclaim, oh my, that sounds thrilling. Sweetheart Baby hesitated. I don't know, it sounds a bit dangerous. I'm sure Rare wouldn't agree to let her do it, even though she's not here right now. Of course it's dangerous. Mr. Miracle interrupted. Apple Lily and Sweetheart Baby aren't Pegasi. They're not light enough, and they'll fall halfway through. Besides, unlike a hot air balloon, even if they reach Cloud City, they won't be able to stand on the clouds and will fall. The three colts sighed in disappointment again. Mr. Miracle couldn't bear to see them looking so sad. So he thought for a moment and suggested, calm down. Today is the weekend. It should be a time to relax. Let's find a new activity that won't tire you out and can be really fun, so you can try something new. Upon hearing this, the three colts exchanged glances and quickly turned their frowns into smiles. Mr. Miracle led the way, signaling them to follow. I think the barn at Sweet Apple Acres is a good place. It's spacious, and as far as I know, there are many old items in the attic that might be useful for our plan. So the four of them headed to Sweet Apple Acres. And as soon as they entered, they saw a strong land horse, completely red with an orange mane and tail that was neat and short, working like crazy. It was Apple Lily's brother, Maytosh. When the Cute Legion arrived, he had just finished all his work. Apple Lily was very confused. She had eaten breakfast, and before looking for her friends, Maytosh had been working leisurely. And his current frantic effort didn't seem like him at all. He was usually very organized. It seems you have an event today, so you finished everything in advance. Mr. Miracle saw through it all. Yeah, Maytosh replied, as taciturn as ever. Can you tell us what the event is? Apple Lily asked. Maybe we can join in. No. Maytosh was a bit sweaty, clearly thinking that this event was some kind of secret that other ponies shouldn't know about. The three young colts were puzzled, and it was hard to get any information out of Maytosh's taciturn demeanor. Just then, a ball of green flame appeared out of nowhere, not burning anything. Instead, it was shaping something. In the blink of an eye, a scroll fell down. When Maytosh saw the letter, his expression became even more flustered. Apple Lily wanted to grab it to read, but Mr. Miracle insisted on asking for Maytosh's consent first since it was addressed to him, leaving Apple Lily pouting in frustration. Maytosh picked it up and glanced at it, becoming unusually excited. He prepared to leave, but seeing the four little ponies in front of him, especially his sister's pitiful look, He had to agree to let them see the letter. "Thank you, big brother." Apple Lily's face changed faster than flipping a book, and she went to grab the letter. This piece of paper was written and sent by Sue Long, and the content read, "Dear Maytosh, my good brother, our little pony friends have collectively gone to Cloud City. And now is a rare opportunity for a gentleman's night. Plus, since we have plenty of time, we can extend this night into a whole day. Hurry over. And don't forget to bring dice and snacks. Don't tell any other ponies. You know, it's our secret. Your good brother, Sue Long." So it's a gentleman's night. Apple Lily felt a sense of expectation greater than reality and then explained to the little ponies behind her. Maytosh and Sue Long often have gentlemen's night together when there are no ponies bothering them. Although they think it's a secret, everyone actually knows. Mr. Miracle gradually smiled. He felt the cute Legion could totally participate in this event. He then turned to Maytosh and showed a polite and sincere smile. However, Maytosh didn't feel much relaxed upon seeing this smile. Inside the Golden Oak Library, Sue Long was busy arranging things with his short legs, and the round large table in the center was already set up with maps, character cardboard models, dice, snacks, character cards, and player guides. The book cover featured a grinning troll with several warrior ponies standing opposite, and it was printed with large characters, trolls, and dungeons. Just as he finished setting up, there was a knock at the door. "Come in," Sue Long eagerly shouted, then rubbed his hands as he sat down. He was still smiling when he saw Maytosh. But when he noticed the cute Legion behind him, the smile vanished, replaced by confusion. "What are they doing here?" Maytosh began to sweat again. "Let me explain." Mr. Miracle stepped forward and said sincerely, "We happened to come across the letter you sent to Maytosh." He glanced at Maytosh and then lied. "We opened it without his permission. We're sorry, but we really want to join this game." "Maytosh, is that right?" Sue Long squinted and asked Maytosh, "Are you sure you didn't let our secret slip?" No," Maytosh said with an awkward but polite fake smile. "We promise we'll have a lot of fun." "Sweetheart Baby volunteered. Really we'll have fun?" "Really we'll have fun." Sue Long sighed and said, "All right, you can play with us." So the cute Legion, Maytosh, and Sue Long sat around the round table. Each pony had a small plate of snacks, a set of dice, a character card, a pencil, and some draft paper in front of them. There weren't that many player guides, so they had to share 2 books. "Before we start, I want to ask how much you know about this game?" Sue Long asked the cute Legion. The 3 young colts shook their heads blankly in unison, while Mr. Miracle hesitated and nodded. "Mr. Miracle, you've learned about this game before?" Yes and no," Mr. Miracle hesitated to say. "In fact, I used to play another game called Dungeons Dragons, for shorted D. It's probably very similar to Trolls and Dungeons." "Dungeons Dragons? Strange, I've never heard of it." "Whatever, since you have a foundation. That makes it easier. You can guide Apple Lily, Smart Lulu, and Sweetheart Baby. How about that?" "Okay, let's take a look at the player guide." Then the cute Legion started passing around the player guide. Mr. Miracle found it easy to understand since he already had a foundation. But the 3 young colts felt confused and decided to just play. The key to this game is to use your imagination to play another character in another world. Sue Long explained. "For example, I am called Gobin in the game, a level 6 wizard, and Maytosh is called Sir Gunner, a level 5 black knight." "Cool," Smart Lulu exclaimed. "Play? Can any character be played?" Sweetheart Baby asked. "Of course. You can even cross-dress as a male or female character. Let's start creating our own characters now. Remember to put your heart into their backstories. That's where the real fun lies." Mr. Miracle guided. So, the adorable troupe began to hurriedly create their characters. Mr. Miracle not only had to create his own, but also guide them. Afterward, everyone had created their new characters, including Maytosh, whose original high-level character was not suitable for playing with newcomers. As for Sui Long, now that there were many players, he no longer had to be both the town lord and a player, allowing him to focus solely on being the town lord and telling stories. So he didn't need to rebuild his character. Then they began introducing themselves one by one. First was Sui Long, who introduced Maytosh because he wasn't good with words. Maytosh's character was named Little Gun Retainer, a unicorn warrior who was the loyal retainer of Sir Big Gun, separated from him after the castle surrendered. He adventures across the continent while gathering news about the night. His personality mirrored that of Sir Big Gun, brave, resilient, upright, and decisive, with the only flaw being his lack of eloquence. Maytosh had already sketched his character on paper and stood it up as a model. There stood a red unicorn in armor, with flowing golden hair, proudly holding a large sword at his waist, looking quite impressive. Next was Mr. Miracle. My character is named Miracle, a subclass sword saint of the Earth Pony race. Miracle is a wandering swordsman from a distant land, highly skilled and proud. Any evildoer who sees his sword must retreat 3 steps. No little pony knows his story. His past is like the wind and mist, making it hard for others to grasp. The only clear thing is that he despises evil and is determined to use his sword to defend peace and tranquility. Suelong raised an eyebrow and said, you know your character is only level 1, right? I know, it's written here. A level 1 wandering swordsman with such high skills? And that any evildoer must retreat 3 steps from his sword. Does that sound like the power of a level 1? The third was Apple Lily, who cheerfully said, it's my turn. My character is named Apple Gala, of the Earth Pony race, and a warrior. This is the profession that resembles her the most. She is the second in command of the Golden Apple Orchard, has a brother named Mytoko, and a sister named Apple Little Lily. Her biggest trait is honesty. Mr. Miracle leaned over to look at the character model, which was essentially Apple Gala with her mane changed to red. The fourth was Sweetheart Baby, who said in a baby voice, look at me. My character is named Sweetie Baby, of the Unicorn race, and a bard. Since there's no costume designer profession, I had to choose this. She is an elegant pony known throughout the kingdom. Her speech and demeanor, how to describe it? Anyway, very elegant. Oh, and her sister is named Little Sweetheart, and she is just as elegant. She also has her own clothing store, and her biggest trait is generosity. It's obvious that her character model is Treasure, but with the main color changed to Sweetheart Babies. The fifth was eye-catching Lulu, who excitedly said, finally, it's my turn. My character is named Rainbow Jewel, of the Pegasus race, and a ranger. Since there's no pilot profession, I had to choose this. She is a renowned Super Pegasus, with unparalleled speed. She has a loyal follower named Little Fly Lulu. She is about to join the amazing Pegasus team, and her biggest trait is loyalty. This one is even more obvious. The model looks exactly like Cloudsdale, with hardly any changes. Mr. Miracle covered his face with one hoof and said helplessly, well, how should I put this? While you can indeed play any character, I would prefer you to create your own characters rather than. But we admire them so much. The 3 young fillies explained in unison. We dream of being ponies like them, and now we have the chance to imagine. Of course we want to do this. Mr. Miracle didn't intend to correct them. He just hoped they would enjoy themselves. So he said earnestly, I understand. However, even if you admire them, it doesn't mean you have to be exactly like them, especially since this is just a game. If your future adorable Mark were the same as theirs, would you be willing? The 3 young fillies pondered for a moment and said, it seems we wouldn't want that, because then we wouldn't be special. Exactly. Playing this game is the same. Of course, I won't insist that you change. That would go against the principle of free imagination. I just hope you think about it seriously. If you truly want to use these characters, I won't have any objections. What Mr. Miracle didn't say was that it would be easy to break character, especially since these characters looked exactly like the 3 actual ponies. Mytosh knew to make some changes to his character. Sweetheart Baby's character changed to Sweetie Belle, of the Unicorn race, and a bard, skilled in crossbows, daggers, with initial spells being Magic Missile and Shield. She had traveled throughout the kingdom, telling epic tales of various heroes until the octopus which invaded, forcing her to become a hero herself. She was determined to embody all the qualities of a hero. Eye-catching Lulu's character changed to Shadow Jewel, of the Pegasus race, and a rogue subclass shadow dancer, skilled in long swords and dual wielding. She was once a member of the amazing Pegasus team, but after the octopus which began her evil reign, she resolutely left the team to fight the villains alone. Seeing that all the little ponies were ready, Suelong picked up his prepared module and began to narrate. Very well. Now, please use your imagination and embark on this thrilling adventure together. Among the many adventure groups, there was one particularly special group called the Adorable Adventure Group. They recently received news that the mine outside the city was in trouble, and all the available forces in the city had been used up, so they needed some unofficial groups to help deal with it. Although the mine was not large, it produced very important metal ores. Without it, the soldiers on the front lines would not have enough armor and weapons. Apple Gala, Sweetie Belle, Shadow Jewel, you have decided to take on this task. However, this task requires more than just the 3 of you. You will need some helpers. Suelong slowly narrated. So, you collectively headed to the sperm whale bar, hoping to gather more information and find like-minded partners. Cool. Eye-catching Lulu said. It really seems interesting, Apple Lily added. Can we do anything? Act entirely on our own will. Sweetheart Baby asked. That's right. The most important thing is imagination, Suelong explained. But also keep in mind that while this world is imagined, it doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. There are laws and rules here, and you must manage your relationships with other ponies well. Manage relationships? Sweetheart Baby pondered. Eye-catching Lulu was the first to get into character, saying in a deep voice, I, Shadow Jewel, the ever-vigilant shadow dancer, want to observe the entire tavern first to see if there are any noteworthy characters. Okay, roll a 20-sided die and add your agility modifier to see if you can spot something special. Eye-catching Lulu rolled an 11, added the 5 from her 20 agility modifier, making it a total of 16, just enough to pass the check. Is that you, Mr. Hat? Sweetheart Baby couldn't help but ask. Sweetheart Baby, you need to focus on your role. Mr. Miracle immediately reminded her. You are now Sweetie Belle. You need to pay attention to portraying her well. Oh right, sorry. Sweetheart Baby said, half getting into character, but from her confused expression, it was hard to tell if she was truly in character. I want to share what I see with my companions, eye-catching Lulu said. Okay, then I, Sweetie Belle, notice a mysterious pony in the corner and decide to talk to him, Sweetheart Baby said. Sweetie Belle, the bard draped in a purple cloak and wearing a purple wide-brimmed hat, squeezed through the crowd of ponies and approached the mysterious pony wearing a hat. Before speaking, she adjusted her hat and tidied her mane, which had just been messed up. What do you plan to do? Suelong asked. I will say hello. My name is Sweetie Belle, and I am a member of the Adorable Adventure Group. We just took on a task to deal with the mine problem outside the city. Would you like to join us? Sweetheart, that's too straightforward, said witty Lulu quietly to her. Hey, I can handle it. Sweetheart Baby said somewhat reluctantly. After Sweet Little Shell finished speaking, the mysterious pony only sneered a few times without looking up. It was only after Apple Tally came over that he spoke. My sword does not come out of its sheath easily. He didn't seem very serious when he said this. Almost jokingly, it seemed he was already willing to go to the mine. As long as he was made happy, he would join. Let me handle it. Apple Lily thought for a moment and said, I'll go ask the bartender for information about this mysterious pony. I need to know what he drank before. So Apple Tally went to the bar and saw the bartender up close. She was a earth pony, entirely pink, with a messy rose-red mane. And her work uniform had a name tag that read Pontoe Pie. Apple Tally inquired about the pony wearing a hat and learned that he intended to go to the mine after hearing about the problem, but was alone and had been waiting in the tavern for like-minded companions for 2 days, during which he only drank apple juice. Apple Lily clapped her hooves and said, Great, I'll order a glass of apple juice and take it to that mysterious pony as my treat. That way, he'll be willing to chat with me. When the mysterious pony saw that she brought his favorite apple juice, he was a bit surprised at first, then smiled openly. Suelong spoke passionately. He said, You're quite clever. In light of this glass of apple juice, I'm willing to join you. How about we split the reward among the 4 of us? Deal. Apple Lily readily agreed. Finally, I can speak. Miracle Master moved his neck a bit and then set up the character model. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Miracle, and I'm from a faraway land. Now you all know each other, Suelong said. What do you plan to do next? Miracle Master raised his hoof and said, I want to propose to them that we shouldn't delay. We should buy equipment and supplies right away, then set off for the mine. So the characters began to move around the blacksmith shop and grocery store, chattering about what they should buy. Their budget was tight, so they had to be strict about spending. They didn't notice that Sweetheart Baby was unable to find a chance to interject, just watching the other ponies with longing. Miracle's profession was Warrior Subclass Sword Saint, unable to wear any armor or use ranged weapons. As compensation, he could gain extra hit, damage, and evasion level rewards as he leveled up. Although his model depicted him holding a long sword, his specialization was actually in great swords and heavy weapon modes. So he bought a long and heavy great sword. Apple Tally's profession was warrior, able to wear any armor and use any weapon, and could gain more weapon specialization, increasing hit with each level up. Her specialties were long swords, sword and shield mode, and slingshots, so she bought a long sword, a set of iron armor and helmet, a shield, a slingshot, and 2 sets of stone bullets. Flying Shadow's profession was Rogue Subclass Shadow Dancer, unable to wear medium armor or any heavy armor. With only some rogue skills and slow growth, and reduced backstab multiplier, the benefit was that she could gain extra damage, hit, and evasion levels as she leveled up. Her specialization was long swords, dual-wield mode, and short bows, so she bought 2 long swords that could be held with her long and flexible wings, and also bought a short bow, 2 sets of arrows, and a set of wooden armor. Sweet Little Shell's profession was Bard, considered a half spellcaster, able to use 2 rogue skills, but her spellcasting ability wasn't as good as a proper mage's. The benefit was that she leveled up quickly, could access high-level magic faster, could use rogue weapons, and could also wear rogue armor. Her specializations were crossbows and daggers, so she bought a light crossbow, 2 sets of crossbow bolts, and a dagger. Then they went to the potion shop to buy potions. Potions were usually very expensive, so they had to reserve them and use them cautiously. The cute adventure group of 4 ponies arrived at the city's most famous potion shop, the Scorching Cauldron. The shop was relatively spacious, with shelves full of various labeled potions. And behind the main hall was the alchemy room. The shopkeeper was an elegant zebra, dressed in gold and silver, who had just come out of the alchemy room and clearly knew a lot about potion brewing. As soon as she saw the 4 customers enter, she politely asked what they wanted to buy. Excuse me, How much for 4 healing potions? Woody Lulu, playing Flying Shadow, asked. 10 for minor potions, 20 for regular potions, and 100 for strong potions. Clearly marked, no cheating. Sui Long tried to mimic the demeanor of an elegant zebra. Ah, so expensive? The 3 young ponies exclaimed in unison. The potions in Ponyville are so much cheaper compared to this. Apple Lily said, distressed. Sweetheart Baby saw her friends in trouble and suggested, how about I try to bargain? Maybe we can buy 2 more bottles. Apple Lily and Witty Lulu exchanged glances and nodded in agreement. So Sweetheart Baby, playing Sweet Little Shell, adopted a rare hair-flipping pose and blinked, saying, Madam, we are here to solve the mine problem outside the city. You know this mine issue is a big deal. Could you give us a discount? My prices are the market average. If I lower them, I won't make any profit. We are also contributing to Ponyland. To Manhattan. Resolving the mine issue will produce enough metal for soldiers to resist the Octopus Witch's forces. So sorry, if I give you a discount now, then anyone who comes after will want a bargain, and my shop won't be able to operate anymore. I hope you understand, the shopkeeper said, pausing. Unless what? Unless you buy a lot at once, then I could give a discount. Upon hearing this, Sweetheart Baby felt hopeful. So she racked her brains to negotiate with the shopkeeper, played by Sui Long. But Apple Lily and Witty Lulu felt the conversation was going off track. The team only had 20 bits. How could they buy a lot? Miracle Master watched, but said nothing. He wanted the cute army to be the protagonists of this adventure. Sweet Little Shell, playing Apple Tally, quietly told Sweetheart Baby. But Sweetheart Baby continued to negotiate. Witty Lulu, playing Flying Shadow, called out again, but it didn't work. Sweetheart Baby. Finally, Apple Lily called out of character, which caught her attention. We want to tell Sweet Little Shell that we only have 20 bits, and no matter how we bargain, we can't make a deal. I'm sorry. Sweetheart Baby scratched her head, feeling a bit embarrassed, as she had already negotiated a price of 70 bits for 10 minor potions. She stammered to the shopkeeper, played by Sui Long. There's a small problem. We actually only have 20 bits. Could we stick to the price we negotiated, 7 bits per potion, and buy 3 potions, and just forget about the last 1 bit? Sui Long raised an eyebrow, unsure if the shopkeeper he was playing was angry or if he himself was angry. But he still said, Sweetheart Baby, you roll a disadvantage die. Let's see if you can convince the shopkeeper. Sweetheart Baby glanced at Apple Lily and Witty Lulu, seeing their worried expressions, and made up her mind to succeed. She pinched the die with her hooves, prayed as she threw it, and almost shouted as it rolled. In the end, the die landed on 20. Yay, big success. Sweetheart Baby almost jumped up, but Miracle Master stopped her in time, reminding her that this was a disadvantage die, and she had to roll twice and take the lower value. She could only roll again, and this time it was 15, just barely passing the check. The 3 young ponies were about to celebrate, but Sui Long poured cold water on them, reminding them that they still had to account for the charisma adjustment value. Sweet Little Shell's charisma was only 8, with an adjustment value of 1, so the actual value was 14, just not enough. The 3 young ponies sighed in disappointment. Sweetheart Baby, if you hadn't initially messed up your attributes, you would have passed this time, Apple Lily sighed. 3 bottles of potions. After a moment of thought, if your charm is 18 from the start, then maybe persuading Miracle to join wouldn't require buying apple juice, said Waking Lulu. That way we now have 21 bucks. And we won't need the shopkeeper to round down, and maybe we won't even have disadvantage on the dice. Alright, what a pity. Sui Long shook his head and continued to play the shopkeeper. What a waste of time. Back to the original price, 10 bucks a bottle. Are you buying or not? Yes, definitely buying, Apple Lily finally said. The cute adventure team spent all their money, and besides some essential tools, their inventory now included 2 precious healing potions. Then, they officially played their roles and left the city. Walking out of Crazy Pony City, they faced a wide avenue, with lush trees and shrubs on both sides. And below the slope lay endless fields. The mine was not a remote place. Almost all ponies knew about it. So the cute adventure team quickly arrived at the mine entrance 2 kilometers away. The entrance resembled a cave, with a set of iron tracks running out, where some minor ponies looked bored. At the cave's mouth, a land pony warrior in armor and a helmet caught their attention. Cool. Is that you, Mytosh? Apple Lily exclaimed excitedly. Yes. But as soon as Mytosh finished speaking, he felt he had broken character. He glanced at Sui Long and immediately added, No. I mean, Sweet Belle should invite him to join us. Sweet Baby said. All right, Sweet Baby said half-heartedly. Miracle, Apple Tally, Flying Shadow, Sweet Belle, and Little Gun Subordinate all entered the mine together. The mine had 5 levels, each pitch dark, but luckily Sweet Belle and Little Gun Subordinate, as unicorns, could use illumination spells to provide stable light. Flying Shadow entered stealth mode ahead of time, moving along the rock wall at the back of the team. So if they encountered enemies, she could launch a sneak attack from the shadows. Clearly, the mine's situation was worse than expected. The disturbed undead had already invaded the 3rd level, which was why all the minor ponies had gone outside. However, one minor pony had been trapped inside earlier, and his co-workers wanted to rescue him, but had no way to do so. Therefore, the cute adventure team had to not only clear these undead, but also rescue that survivor. Soon they reached the 3rd level, and the 5 pony players faced their first battle. A group of undead ponies crawled out of the ground, all skeletal figures, clutching broken stone knives or pickaxes abandoned by the miners. Since these skeletal ponies crawled out slowly, the cute adventure team wouldn't suffer from any ambush penalties. Miracle was swift as the wind. As soon as a skeletal pony crawled up, he reached the right side, and one skeletal pony collided head-on with his great sword. With a flash of cold light, under his fierce gaze, the skeletal pony instantly fell apart, turning into a pile of bones. Next was Waking Lulu, who rolled a 13. Plus her agility modifier made it 17. Flying Shadow had been lurking in the shadows, and none of the skeletal ponies noticed her. She quickly stealthily approached the back of the strongest skeletal pony, unfolded her wings with a sword in each hoof, and launched an attack like a whirlwind. The first sword barely grazed the surface of the bones, causing no actual damage, but the second sword was as fast as lightning, hitting a vital spot. And this relatively strong skeletal pony hadn't even had a chance to show its strength before being reduced to a pile of fragments by the shadowy assault. Then it was the turn of the 2 weak skeletal ponies. They both targeted Apple Tolly and Little Gun Subordinate, the 2 most obvious targets. Sway Long rolled the dice for them, but unfortunately, his luck was bad. Both skeletal ponies failed to hit Apple Tolly and Little Gun Subordinate. The 2 skeletal ponies seemed intimidated by the cute adventure team's first 2 attacks. Their attacks were feeble, merely grazing the armor of Apple Tolly and Little Gun Subordinate, leaving a shallow scratch. Next were Little Gun Subordinate and Apple Tolly. Little Gun Subordinate used magic to control his spear, striking the weak skeletal pony in front of him. Although the attack was powerful, the thrust was ineffective against the skeleton. Most of the force grazed off the smooth bones and dissipated. But just as he distracted the skeletal pony with his spear, Apple Tolly, with a sling in her mouth, swung it hard, and a projectile struck the skeletal pony's face, shattering it into a pile of bones. The last skeletal pony attacked, successfully hitting Little Gun Subordinate and causing negligible damage. Sweet Baby rolled a 2 for initiative, and it was the last turn for her. The last skeletal pony did not retreat after its companion was knocked down. It charged at Little Gun Subordinate with a pickaxe, striking just the weak point of his armor, and the impact transmitted through the armor to his torso, causing him to grunt in pain. At that moment, Sweet Belle chanted a spell, and a magical missile filled with magic and glowing green shot out, reducing the last skeletal pony to dust. Great, I finally got to perform, Sweet Baby said happily. Indeed, Apple Lily replied. But these skeletal ponies are weak. We could defeat them without magic. Yes, Waking Lulu said. But as the only spellcaster in our team, you only have 2 spell slots at level 1. It's a bit of a waste to use one on a guaranteed magic missile. Sweet Baby looked at her character card and realized that was indeed the case. After all, a bard is not a proper mage. They clearly have fewer spell slots at the same level than a wizard. She had previously memorized 1 magic missile and 1 shield spell, and now she only had the shield spell left. Maybe we can find an opportunity for a long rest? She tentatively asked. Apple Lily shook her head and said, There's still a miner waiting for us to rescue. We can't waste time. Mr. Miracle advised, It's okay. It's just a level 1 magic missile. Only 25 damage, nothing serious. The crossbow damage might even be higher than that. Upon hearing Mr. Miracle's words, Sway Long momentarily forgot his role as the town lord and argued for the magic missile. The magic missile is one of the most popular first-level spells for a reason. It's a guaranteed hit. For every 2 levels the caster rises, the expected damage doubles, and by level 9, it can reach a maximum of 5 missiles, which means guaranteed 10-25 damage. Mytosh noticed that Sweet Baby's expression was increasingly off, so he quickly elbowed Sway Long to make him stop talking. But Sway Long didn't pick up on it, perhaps because his scales were too thick, affecting his skin sensitivity. However, it was clear that Sweet Baby's mind was no longer on this. Since she started playing this game, she had been making low-level mistakes, first misallocating her attribute points, then messing up the persuasion, causing a chain reaction that led them to lose a potion that might have been very useful, and now wasting a spell because she wanted to perform. I might really not be good at this game, she silently thought. Inside the Golden Oak Library, the ponies in the group erupted in cheers as Waking Lulu rolled a 20 in the 3rd encounter, a critical success. As a reward for this fatal strike, Sway Long allowed her to customize the description of this attack. So cool. I can already imagine that scene. Apple Lily exclaimed. Yes, really cool. Sweet Baby marveled. But then her gaze dimmed, and she muttered softly, if only Sweet Belle could be that cool. Everyone present was immersed in this awesome finishing move and didn't hear her words. The ponies excitedly played their roles deeper into the mine, except for Sweet Baby, who became increasingly distracted. In fact, she had been very engaged at the beginning, but ever since she added the suggestion to herself that she wasn't good at this game, her performance had been deteriorating. The worse she performed, the less confident she became, and the worse she performed again. The dice seemed to be working against her, always rolling numbers she didn't want. She no longer wanted to continue playing. After the fourth encounter, the cute adventure team finally reached the breach. The awakened undead must have crawled out from here. According to the miners outside, that pony had been captured nearby. With the light from Little Gun's subordinate's horn, they could vaguely see a cage surrounded by stones at the dim end, inside which hung a pony upside down. Found it. Let's hurry in. Apple Lily waved her hoof. Wait, what if there are traps? Exclaimed Waking Lulu. That's how storybooks are written. I want to stealth ahead and use my trap detection skill. Sui Long made a dark throw and then straightforwardly told her that Fei Ying Lu did not detect any traps. Let's have Ping Tali and Xiao Chong as the front line. We still have 2 healing potions left, so it's fine, Mr. Miracle suggested. Thus, Ping Tali and Xiao Chong took the lead, while Fei Ying Lu and Mr. Miracle guarded the flanks, with Sweet Little Bay bringing up the rear. They maintained a pentagonal formation as they moved forward, discovering that this carved-out space was quite large. In addition to a stone cage, there were 2 workbenches, a bed, a potion cauldron, and scattered on the ground were a dozen or so wrinkled or incomplete notes. I want to observe the surroundings and see if there are any clues, Waking Lulu said, then rolled the dice. However, luck seemed to be against her this time. She rolled a 1, a major failure. Hiss, Waking Lulu gasped. Oh, that's too bad, Sui Long said. You didn't find anything. As a penalty for the major failure, you accidentally stepped on a stone and slipped, ending your stealth and losing 2 hit points. So frustrating, Waking Lulu said, marking her character sheet. Then came a rather dramatic scene where Mr. Miracle, Apple Lily, and my Tuasher all rolled single digits and failed the checks. Everyone's hopes rested on Sweetheart Baby to see if she could find any clues. Sweetheart Baby picked up the dice, silently prayed, and finally rolled a satisfactory number. A long-lost smile appeared on her face. Based on the existing clues, Sweet Little Bay guesses this is a wizard's workshop, Sui Long said. A wizard? Apple Lily pondered. So these papers on the ground belong to the wizard? Sweet Little Bay is our only spellcaster here. She might be able to understand, Mr. Miracle suggested. Sweet Little Bay picked up several notes to read, only to find them very obscure and difficult to comprehend. Not only were the magical terms and theories hard to understand, but the writer's syntax and word choices were also chaotic. Based on the tone of these papers, Sweet Little Bay deduced that they were written by a mad wizard who wanted to use a magical stone to summon undead to serve him. If Ziwa were here, she might be able to fully understand these notes, Mr. Miracle joked, and the other ponies laughed. It seems the mastermind behind the undead invasion of the mine is this wizard, Waking Lulu said. If we defeat him, the problem should be resolved, right? Let's rescue that pony first, Apple Lily said. The cute adventure team broke open the stone cage and rescued the poor miner. The miner looked very weak and was still unconscious. What do you plan to do? Sui Long asked. I think giving him a healing potion might wake him up, Mr. Miracle said. My Tuasher agreed. But we only have 2 potions in total. What if we give him 1 and can't defeat that wizard? Apple Lily said worriedly. Waking Lulu's eyes sparkled. We will indeed lose 1 potion, but if he wakes up, he might fight alongside us. I mainly want to ask him for some extra information, but you have a point. There is that possibility, Mr. Miracle said. Sweetheart Baby also agreed. But she hadn't thought that much. She simply felt that this pony needed help. The cute adventure team fed the valuable healing potion to the unconscious pony. After a while, the pony slowly woke up, saw 5 unfamiliar ponies around him, initially panicked, but after introductions, he relaxed and recounted what happened in the mine. A few days ago, this wizard suddenly appeared and asked the miners not to dig any deeper. The miners thought he was talking nonsense and ignored him, continuing to dig, while he kept insisting. It wasn't until they dug up a gem with mysterious magical power that the wizard revealed his true colors. He had been living at the bottom of the mine for a long time to obtain this magical gem. However, the miners were progressing faster than he expected, and he feared they would get the gem first, so he kept insisting. When the miners actually got it first, he tried to coerce and entice them. But after discussing it, the miners decided to give the gem to Prince Universe, which angered the wizard. In the end, the undead uprising occurred, and this miner, who was the keeper of the gem, became the direct target and was captured. Now that he has woken up, the gem is missing. It must have been stolen by that wizard. You must hurry to stop him. He might do something bad with that gem. Sui Long played the miner's role. Then let's get started. The three young ponies couldn't wait any longer. Don't rush, Mr. Miracle said. We can take a long rest. I have a feeling this final battle will be tough. We can use this time to restore hit points, and Sweet Little Bay can also recover her spell slots. The three young ponies and my two-washer thought for a moment and all agreed. They then took turns keeping watch, and the night passed without incident. The miner also regained some hit points and would be able to join the fight. Before officially starting, my two-washer suddenly thought of something, clapped his hooves to get everyone's attention, and then pointed to Sweetheart Baby's character sheet. Sui Long, as the guessing expert, helped him translate. Are you saying Sweetheart Baby's spell? Magic missile? Shield spell? Both? Oh, he elongated the sound, realizing it, and then told the other ponies. What he means is, since the final mastermind is a wizard, he will definitely use magic missile, and the shield spell, besides increasing defense, also has the effect of being immune to magic missile. You can have Sweet Little Bay cast a shield spell on herself to actively take the opponent's magic missile. Yes, my two-washer nodded in agreement. The three young ponies also suddenly understood and nodded happily. Sweetheart Baby, no, Sweet Little Bay, just do as he says. Apple Lily said. Sweetheart Baby nodded excitedly, feeling it was her moment to shine, but after glancing at her character sheet, she became sorrowful, as if she was about to cry. What's wrong, Sweetheart Baby? Mr. Miracle, unable to care about whether he was breaking character, asked with concern. I changed the spells I memorized before the long rest, she said sadly. Now I have 2 magic missiles memorized, and I can't cast shield. Huh. The other 2 young ponies asked in surprise. Why did you change? Because my crossbow missed so many times earlier, I wanted to memorize 1 more magic missile so that I could. But our attacks have missed too, Sweetheart Baby said, looking down. Mr. Miracle noticed her low mood and quickly comforted her. It's okay. If there's no shield, then there's no shield. That wizard's level might not be very high, and he won't have many spell slots, at most casting magic missile once or twice. But if the opponent has shield, my magic missile will be useless, Sweetheart Baby said. I really am not good at this game. After saying that, she left her seat and rushed out the door. Apple Lily and Waking Lulu didn't even get a chance to speak. They also wanted to comfort her. What happened to her? It's just a game, Sui Long said in shock. She might not think so. Mr. Miracle jumped off his seat, preparing to chase after her. Apple Lily and Waking Lulu wanted to follow, but he stopped them, saying, You stay here. I might find her and still have to find you too. After saying that, he ran out, leaving behind a worried Apple Lily, Waking Lulu, Sui Long, and my two-washer. Maybe I should make the game simpler? Sui Long muttered. Could she be upset about that disadvantageous role? Apple Lily and Waking Lulu sighed, walking to the door and watching Mr. Miracle's figure gradually fade away. I have to say, even though Sweetheart Baby is young and her legs are short, she runs inexplicably fast. Mr. Miracle finally saw her by the small river not far from the library. She was sitting by the river, head down, looking quite dejected. Mr. Miracle walked over and quietly asked, Mind if I sit down? Sweetheart Baby glanced up, shook her head. So Mr. Miracle sat down beside her and waited a moment before asking, What's wrong? Can you tell me? I just don't want to play anymore, Sweetheart Baby said softly. I kept making mistakes throughout the game. You all probably don't want to play with me anymore. Who said that? Mr. Miracle retorted. You're overthinking it. Has anyone actually said that? No, but I just know. Little one, everyone has a learning curve. Everyone makes mistakes when they first start playing, Mr. Miracle said patiently. But Apple Lily and Smart Lulu played really well, Sweetheart Baby said, turning her head away, clearly a bit disappointed in herself. Their roles in the game are great. And look, I can't even describe mine. In short, their roles are impressive, while mine is so clumsy. What does that matter? Sui Long couldn't even write about disasters at first, Mr. Miracle said. But that doesn't change the fact that I played poorly. Mr. Miracle paused for a moment and said, I think this can't be the only reason you came here. Sweetheart Baby sighed, You're right. I'm afraid they dislike me and distance themselves because I'm not good at playing games. Maybe worse, they might get the cute badge first, and I'll still be left out. Do you really think that? Mr. Miracle asked. Do you really believe they would do that? I don't know. Sweetheart Baby thought for a moment and shook her head. No. Are they mad at you? No, Mr. Miracle said earnestly. True friends won't distance themselves from you just because you can't play games. Do you think they are your true friends? If Apple Lily or Smart Lulu played poorly, would you be upset? You wouldn't, so neither would they. After Mr. Miracle finished speaking, he paused and added, Always think the best of your friends. Always believe that true friends are always thinking of each other. Wow, that makes so much sense. You really know a lot. Sweetheart Baby exclaimed. Actually, I didn't say the last part, Mr. Miracle clarified. How should I put it? A very wise little pony told me that. Who was that wise little pony? Let us not get into that. Sweetheart Baby shook her head. Why not? Don't you already believe they want to dislike you? But I still play poorly. Even if they want to be angry, I don't want to hold them back. What are you doing here? Mr. Miracle's tone was half reproachful, half comforting. We couldn't stop worrying about you, Sweetheart Baby, the two little ponies said, panting. Sweetheart Baby felt a bit embarrassed and said softly, because I kept making mistakes before. If I had successfully persuaded them, I could have saved that $1. If I had successfully bargained, I could have had an extra potion. If I had hit Apple Lily one more time, I could have been less hurt. If I hadn't changed the memory spell, I could have used the shield spell. So that is what you were thinking. Mr. Miracle chuckled. How can that count as making mistakes? Your only mistake might be misallocating your attribute points. That's all. The rest is just part of the game. Everyone goes through it, and sometimes, I've experienced much more failure than this. Didn't I also have a big failure while scouting? Smart Lulu laughed. I missed several attacks, Apple Lily said. It seems you're too focused on your bad luck and overlook that we also have equally bad times. I once had a time when the Sword Saint SG/ didn't hit at all, Mr. Miracle said. Success and failure go hand in hand. Without these failures, success wouldn't feel so precious, and we wouldn't be so excited when we succeed. If the whole game went smoothly and everything succeeded, would it still be interesting? Yeah, just like the cute badge. Apple Lily said. It's because we don't have it yet that we desire it so much. And we can anticipate how happy we will be when we actually earn the badge. Mr. Miracle added. Those ponies who get the badge quickly may not be as happy as you will be when you earn it. We always have to move forward through failures and successes. And the good thing is, we always have friends with us. I get it now, Sweetheart Baby turned her sadness into joy. So, are you willing to continue the rest of the adventure with us? Smart Lulu asked excitedly. Great. The minds of Crazy Pony Town are saved. I'm willing. But I'm afraid I want to play well. The most important thing is to be engaged. I couldn't even run before, but in the game, I'm still a swordsman, Mr. Miracle said. The role you're playing is that of a hero pony. She can do far more than we can. You've been too conservative. You just need to let your imagination run free, understand? Yeah, look, I can hardly flap my wings. But Flying Shadow can spin and charge in the air. Smart Lulu said. I don't have my sister's lasso skills, but Apple Tower is great at throwing slingshots. Apple Lily said. And look at Maytosh, he's so quiet. But in the game, he's all about being a knight or a squire. Okay, I'll try it your way, Sweetheart Baby finally nodded in agreement. Just then, the little ponies heard a loud bang from the sky and turned their heads. They saw in the distance, seemingly from the direction of Cloud Castle, a dazzling rainbow halo bursting forth, sweeping across half the sky. That beautiful, colorful shockwave kept expanding outward, blowing away all the dark clouds, and finally, a bright, prominent rainbow appeared on the horizon. Wow, is that the legendary rainbow sonic boom? Sweetheart Baby said, her eyes sparkling. I think I'll never forget this scene for the rest of my life. Apple Lily marveled. So cool. I want to dye my mane rainbow colored. Smart Lulu screamed. But then seeing her friend's strange expressions, she quickly stopped and scratched her head, saying, maybe not. How did she do that? The three little ponies couldn't help but exclaim. Mr. Miracle looked at the gradually expanding rainbow halo with joy and said, a big part of it is her own effort, and another part, I think, is from her friends. No matter how difficult things are, having friends makes it easier. That behind-the-scenes dark mage indeed cast a shield spell on herself and prepared to use the power of that magic gem to gather all the bones together, resurrecting into a giant skeleton horse. Thankfully, Sweetheart Baby, no, sweet little shell, quickly thought of a way and used a magic missile to knock that magic gem away, causing the evil mage's plan to ultimately fail. Yay! The Cute Adventure Team's mine operation was a great success. After packing up the tabletop game items, the three little ponies jumped up and high-fived. Mr. Miracle smiled wryly and gently shook his head, placing his hoof in the mix. Why are you all so happy? Did something good happen? Purple Joy asked. The three little ponies exchanged smiles and shouted in unison, it's a secret. Mr. Miracle looked at them, feeling a bit emotional. Once upon a time, he thought this familiar Ponyville wouldn't bring him more surprises or teach him more lessons. But he was wrong. As long as he was here, there could always be new discoveries and insights. Chapter 10. A journey to Canterlot after finishing all the orders at hand. Jane finally had some free time to write in her diary. This had been a habit she formed over time, but as her business grew and she became busier, the frequency of her entries decreased. Now, calling it a diary was more like a weekly record. She would catch up on several days' worth of entries during her rare free time. For example, several days ago, I had an order from Jodingham to process a total of 20 long robes that all needed to be lined with golden silk. And Sweetheart Baby wasted a large piece of it. I had to exert a lot of effort to keep myself from getting angry. I knew she wanted to help me, but I didn't think she could handle such delicate work. So that day, the plan for the cute army to spend the night at my house was forced to be cancelled. Frankly speaking, in a sense, I could still take a breather. If I had to choose between work and taking care of them, I might really choose work. Roro offered to take care of them for me. At first, I thought she wouldn't be able to handle it, but unexpectedly, the adorable troop was well taken care of by her. It's truly amazing. How did she do it? In any case, with her sharing the pressure with me and the help of Mr. Miracle, I finally completed this order. In my free time, I talked to him about Sweetheart Baby. I thought I was the most patient and best sister in the world, and he would sympathize with my experiences. But on the contrary, he told me that getting along with sisters is not just about tolerance, but the most important thing is communication and guidance. At first I scoffed, thinking, what does he know? Sweetheart Baby is not just a typical troublemaker. If he had spent time with her, he would understand. Then I suddenly realized that perhaps he really has the right to say this, as he often spends time with these three little rascals. He told me that mere tolerance would only deepen the rift between both sides, as the fundamental problem would remain unresolved. In his eyes, Sweetheart Baby is a very smart, energetic, and understanding child. Understanding? That is definitely not Sweetheart Baby. But he said that compared to many children he has seen, the reasons for Sweetheart Baby's mischief mostly stem from her genuine desire to help, and she is quite skilled at doing most of the household chores. For a child, this is already a rare and exceptional quality. What she needs is guidance, telling her what she can touch, what she cannot, where she did well and deserves praise, and where she did poorly and needs to be corrected. If I continue to hold back my anger, it would only leave her unsure about how to improve. All right, maybe he has a point. Speaking of Sweetheart Baby, I have to mention her two good friends, Apple Lily and Smart Lulu. They are just as mischievous, but strangely Mr. Miracle always goes against me, believing they are all good kids. No matter how I tell him about their mischief, he just says, is that really mischief? You haven't seen the kids where I come from. In comparison, what the adorable troop does can only be called their kind nature. His level of acceptance is truly high, which makes me curious. Are the kids from his homeland really that terrifying? I suspect he has been somewhat assimilated by them. Ever since Apple Jiao gave her old activity room to them, their mischief in town has skyrocketed, and most of the time, Mr. Miracle is right there with them. He is still an adult stallion. How can he be so irresponsible? To prepare for the Young Pony School talent show, Sweetheart Baby wanted to use my fabric, and I sought Mr. Miracle's opinion. However, he indulged them and even offered to buy it for me. All right, he did teach Sweetheart Baby some important lessons afterward, but I didn't quite like this way of handling things. As for their performance, well, how should I put it? As a lady, I certainly shouldn't speak ill of the children, but even from a factual standpoint, the performance was less than stellar. Fortunately, they accidentally won the comedy award at the end. Otherwise, Sweetheart Baby would probably cause more trouble late at night. Mr. Miracle isn't a student at the school, so he couldn't go on stage, but he was always rehearsing with them and even dressed just as comically on the day of the performance. Has he truly been assimilated by them? The most peculiar thing about him is his ability to foresee the future. The name Mr. Miracle is truly fitting. Long ago, I thought having an all-knowing friend would be wonderful, but when I actually met one, I started to feel scared. You can never know what exactly he knows. Does he know the secrets of other ponies? Does he know the deep secrets within every pony's heart? Can he keep a secret? No one would dare to get angry with such a pony because heaven knows what earth-shattering things he might reveal. Moreover, the uncertain future that is mysterious to ordinary ponies seems predetermined in his eyes. How could that not frighten me? It's like fashion, to me. The future trends are uncertain and vague, which fuels innovation and the drive to keep up with the times. But if the future trends are certain and unchangeable, then what meaning does the fashion I focus on now have? When I brought this up to him, he surprisingly said a lot of terms I couldn't understand to discuss the contradictory spiral of complexity, ultimately concluding that it's very complicated. Indeed, very complicated. But sometimes, I can't help but want to ask him about the future. For instance, will I find my Prince Charming? Will I become a princess? I guess I don't have the courage to know the answers because if the answer is no, it's almost equivalent to shattering my future. But what if, just maybe, the answer is yes? I occasionally ponder this question. I think my other friends might think the same way. For example, Ziyue might wonder if she will become a great magician. Yunbao certainly wants to know if she can join the Lightning Pegasus team. Apple Jiao definitely wants to know if Sweet Apple Acres can grow even bigger. As for BG and Roro, I'm not quite sure what their ideal future looks like, but they surely have some expectations, right? Regarding this matter, He only told me that living in the present is the most important thing. How the future turns out doesn't matter because it is ultimately determined by the present. What he says always sounds very reasonable, but whether it truly is reasonable is hard to say. For example, when I felt jealous of Ro stealing my limelight, I really didn't want to be jealous of my good friend Ro. After all, she has the talent to be a model, and she deserves it all. But I just couldn't suppress those thoughts, and even hoped she would mess up. The moment such a terrible thought crossed my mind, I felt ashamed. Can a lady be jealous? In the end, Mr. Miracle told me that everyone can feel jealousy. What matters is to face and acknowledge it, so that you can use reason to suppress it and do the right thing. I asked him who said that, and he said he came up with it himself. But the inspiration was from me. It's really strange that he uses the lessons I would teach him in the future to educate me now. Absurd. However, he was right about this. Although I was jealous of Ro and hoped she would fail, when she actually did mess up, all I felt was shock and worry. And I instinctively helped her cover it up. In the end, she became even more popular than before, and as for me, I felt a bit disappointed, but more so, proud that I did what a friend should do. I made the right choice. It was at that moment that I realized he was right. I was indeed jealous of Ro, but my feelings for her were enough to suppress that terrible jealousy, allowing me to genuinely wish her well. I'm glad that this matter was perfectly resolved, and my friendship with Ro is stronger than ever. I can't help but wonder if such an outcome was also within his expectations. There are many things I could choose not to ask. But today I can't wait any longer. I must ask the most important question because tonight is the Galloping Gala in Canterlot. This is my first time attending such a grand event. Will I meet the niece of Princess Celestia? Will I marry into royalty? Will I reach the peak of my pony life? I really want to know the answers, and even if Mr. Miracle is unwilling to tell me, I will still ask. I must ask. After she finished writing, she put away her diary, locked it in her locker, and turned to see Sweetheart Baby peeking in at her from outside the door. Sweetheart Baby, what are you looking at? Jinchi asked with wide eyes. What did you see? Don't be nervous, sister, Sweetheart Baby said with a mischievous smile. I want to tell the other ponies about your jumping around. Jinchi's face turned red for a moment. Then she proudly turned her head and huffed. For the sake of tonight's grand event, I want to hold it against you. Then she trotted out. In fact, Sweetheart Baby also wanted to go to Canterlot to see the world. Which pony wouldn't he want to? That's the capital of Equestria, the city where Princess Celestia resides. It is said to be so luxurious, beautiful, and upscale. Perhaps Mr. Miracle was right again. Sweetheart Baby indeed understands a bit more than she imagines, even if it's just a little bit. She walked out of the carousel boutique and saw Beaky jumping wildly on the trampoline outside. Beaky, stop jumping, Jinchi said as she walked over. If you sweat all over, I won't be able to dress you in new clothes. Beaky had no choice but to reluctantly stop in midair and then slide down to the ground. Just as Jinchi was about to ask why the other ponies hadn't arrived yet, they showed up. Seeing that everyone was there, Ziyue confidently closed her book with magic and announced, all set, let's begin. Hearing this, Suelong brought over an apple and placed it on the ground. Ziyue, please start your performance. An apple? Are you making apple pie? Beaky blurted out, but Suelong shushed her, telling her to watch carefully. Ziyue's unicorn horn sparkled with purple light, and a beam shot towards the apple, which suddenly swelled until it transformed into a luxurious apple carriage. Wow, that's amazing, the ponies exclaimed in unison. It's not over yet. Ziyue turned to Ro and said, please have your friends come out. Is it safe? Ro asked while lowering her head. And 4 little mice jumped out from her mane. Don't worry, they will return to normal by midnight. After saying this, Ziyue cast a spell on them, and the 4 mice turned into 4 beautiful horses. If one overlooked their big front teeth and large ears, they can take us to Canterlot. Just then, Jinchi's pet Persian cat Opal jumped out from the bushes, clearly still seeing the 4 horses as mice. Ro gasped, seeing that it was about to scare the 4 mouse horses away, but it was caught in midair by a pony, who held it back, causing it to wave its paws irritably. The one who caught it was Mr. Miracle, standing on his hind legs with his front hooves pinching Opal. Behind him were Apple Lily and Rainbow Dash. The ponies sighed in relief. Otherwise, they would have to walk there themselves. Seeing him arrive, Jinchi's eyes lit up as she asked, what are you doing here? What event? Jinchi and Applejack both asked. We're going to Canterlot too. A chorus of excited cheers came from behind the ponies. It was Sweetie Belle, who dashed out of the carousel boutique shouting. Following her, 3 little fillies jumped up and high-fived Mr. Miracle, shouting together, Cutie Mark Crusaders' night mission to Canterlot. Yay, you're going too? Jinchi and Applejack asked in surprise. As if sensing their concerns, Mr. Miracle explained, don't worry, they are going with me, and I will keep a close eye on them, tighter than a rope. After saying this, he actually put a yoke on the 3 fillies, with a strong rope attached to it hanging from his yoke. This was no mere metaphor. We still think it's okay. I've already asked for permission from Mrs. Smith and the Macintosh family, as well as Holly and Annie Prancy, Mr. Miracle said confidently. This is also a lesson for these little ones about being responsible. Well, then, Applejack stepped forward. What do you plan to do in Canterlot? Well, I haven't thought about it yet. Maybe first go see the crown jewels, the golden apple tree, and the donut shop. Hey, that's where I was planning to take them. Swaylong interrupted. Did you predict that too? Mr. Miracle said without a hint of embarrassment. Don't mind those little details. I want to know if all those places are in the palace. The three fillies immediately stood on their hind legs and saluted with their right hooves, saying, understood. Seeing his various actions, Jinchi guessed that he probably already foresaw what would happen tonight and was eager to ask the life-changing question. But she didn't dare to ask it publicly. Unexpectedly, he took the initiative to speak. I know you don't like that I can foresee everything. But regarding tonight's grand galloping gala, what? The ponies asked in unison. Jinchi turned her head and saw everyone trying hard to hide their expressions of anticipation. All right. It turned out she wasn't the only one wanting to know if wishes would come true tonight. Say it. No, maybe it's better not to say it. I'll still want you to say it. Clearly, they were all indecisive, just like Jinchi, wanting a definite answer while fearing the outcome wouldn't meet their expectations. How about this? I will only say a simple sentence to each pony. I won't say anything else. How does that sound? Ziyue, Jinchi, Beaky, Applejack, Rainbow Dash. And Ro looked at each other and finally nodded. Okay, then I'll say it. Mr. Miracle pondered for a moment and began to speak one by one. Ziyue, you'd better study some multitasking magic or something like telepathy. Why? Ziyue immediately asked. Mr. Miracle shook his head, raised a hoof to his mouth, and zipped it up, indicating he would only say this much to her. Next was Jinchi. Jinchi, the one you're waiting for might be a bit unreasonable, he said as gently as possible. Jinchi wanted to know how unreasonable, but then realized that this was equivalent to him telling her that she would meet her Prince Charming. Right? Yay. I mean, it's okay. After all, he is a high-class pony in Canterlot. Being a little proper and serious is normal, Jinchi said, and surprisingly started giggling. Mr. Miracle wanted to advise her, but stopped himself. He had already said one sentence, and would only say one. Otherwise, who knows what kind of trouble might arise. Beaky, you should know there are many kinds of parties, right? Of course, why do you ask? Beaky asked in confusion. You can think carefully about what I mean by this. Mr. Miracle hinted, then moved to the next pony. Applejack, I just want to tell you that the tastes of Canterlot residents are different from those in Ponyville. Applejack seemed to ponder this. They don't like apples? Are there ponies in this world who don't like apples? Rainbow Dash. Your purpose in this trip is to make friends, not to show off. Remember that. Will that conflict? Rainbow Dash asked in confusion. She thought that making friends with the Wonderbolts would be best done by showing off. Ro, the animals in the royal palace are not like those in Ponyville. They get scared easily. Don't worry, I'm always very gentle, Ro said, blinking her beautiful big eyes, but Mr. Miracle just wore a face that said, you'll know when the time comes. Finally, he walked up to Swaylong. Swaylong looked around and noticed there were no other ponies nearby, surprisingly pointed at himself and asked, me too. Mr. Miracle nodded and said, you might be able to help fulfill their wishes. What does it mean to fulfill their wishes? They don't want my help. So the ponies entered Jinchi's boutique with skepticism, ready to dress up nicely before heading to Canterlot. Swaylong wanted to follow, but Mr. Miracle pulled him aside. What's wrong? Swaylong asked. There are many things I can't tell them, but I can tell you. He then shared everything he knew, of course, due to time constraints. He only summarized it. Swaylong was astonished throughout, unable to close his mouth. You're saying, the Cosmic Princess doesn't have time to chat with Ziyue because she's meeting guests. The Prince Charming Jinchi is waiting for is actually that awful blue blood. The Grand Carnival Beaky is looking forward to 1T happen because parties in Canterlot are all very calm. Applejack as pastries 1T sell because the ponies in Canterlot want high-end food. Rainbow Dash 1T be able to make friends with the Wonderbolts for reasons similar to Ziyue. And Ro will scare away the animals because she'll be too excited. Swaylong counted on his hoofs. Wow, that is a lot of information. And you'll end up sitting alone in the donut shop drinking hot cocoa because they split up, Mr. Miracle added. Huh, then I 1T go. You guys don't go either. Let us just go play Trolls and Dungeons at the library instead. Swaylong said gloomily. At least that's 100 times more fun than just sitting there drinking. Now you understand why I don't want to tell them everything, right? I understand. Swaylong nodded. So we're playing Trolls and Dungeons tonight? Of course not. Mr. Miracle shook his head decisively. No matter what, you have to do what you promised. Besides, the three little ones really want to go to Canterlot. That's right. Apple Lily, Sweetheart Baby, and Smart Lulu all nodded in agreement. So why are you telling me this? Because you have the chance to change everything. With that, Mr. Miracle took out 6 pouches. I've written down the details of each of their horses inside. You need to help them according to the instructions without them noticing to achieve a wonderful evening. Then why not tell them? They are not as easily accepting of reality as you are. If I tell them directly, they will lose all hope. They would definitely not want to believe it. Or rather, force themselves not to believe it. It seems my wonderful evening is going down the drain. Sui Long sighed. Who says? Actually, I know you want to spend the night with them and have fun. In a sense, helping them aligns with that. On the other hand, the sooner they reach their goal, the sooner they can gather to share their experiences, and you can spend the rest of the time with them. Sui Long raised an eyebrow, thought for a moment, and felt that this was indeed the case, exclaiming, "It seems nothing escapes your calculations. I just want to help them." Mr. Miracle added, "All right, the cute team needs to take action. We must set off quickly to have some more fun." With that, he temporarily untied the ropes on the yoke, letting Smart Lulu pull the cart with him, while Apple Lily and Sweetheart Baby sat in the cart. Because Smart Lulu was younger and didn't have as much strength as Mr. Miracle, the other 2 foals had to take turns with her. Sui Long watched their receding figures, shrugged helplessly, and began to think, how should he hide these 6 pouches? In a bustling and upscale restaurant on Food Street in Canterlot, the cute team, after an hour of rushing around, was gloomily enjoying the dishes in front of them. This restaurant, like other high-end establishments, was luxuriously decorated without losing style. With tables covered in white silk tablecloths embroidered with exquisite patterns, plush booths that were extremely comfortable, and clean tableware that could reflect the light, all while soothing classical music played in the background. Even the waiters were dressed formally, with their manes parted down the middle. But a good environment doesn't necessarily mean a good experience. The food placed before them was indeed luxurious, exquisite, beautiful, and stylish. But it completely lost the essential qualities of food, portion, and flavor. Even though each plate contained only a little, they couldn't finish it because everything was bland and difficult to swallow. "It seems Canterlot isn't as good as I imagined," Smart Lulu said, lowering her head in frustration. "I wish eating this food was just a dream." "I don't think it's that bad, right?" Apple Lily said. "At least the buildings are quite nice." Sweetheart Baby shook her head and said, "I don't see it that way. They all look the same to me." This conversation gave Mr. Miracle a peculiar sense of déjà vu. These 3 little ones were inexplicably similar in speech to another trio of old friends. Coming here to eat was unavoidable. The coffee at the streetside CAF was bitter and expensive, and the snacks could hardly fill them up. So they had to settle for a proper restaurant. But the only good place he knew didn't exist yet. That unicorn father-daughter pair hadn't opened their shop here. In the end, they had to choose a restaurant to make do. "Let me see if I can solve this." Mr. Miracle comforted them a bit, then stood up and said to the waiter, "Please call your manager over. I have a special request to discuss with him." Shortly after, the manager, looking somewhat uncomfortable, walked over. Clearly, he thought this table of customers had a complaint about their food, which in a sense was true, but not in the way he imagined. The manager was a male unicorn with a clean stubble, dressed in a chef's outfit, with the cute emblem of a spatula. "Mr. Miracle politely said, "If I'm not mistaken, your name should be Smoked Oatmeal." "How did you know my name?" "Oh right, that's the name of this restaurant," the manager said with a nervous, polite smile. "Don't be nervous. I just know that the food you used to make wasn't this bland and tasteless, Mr. Miracle said. "We would like to try your former signature dishes. Is that possible?" "Really? How did you know?" Because your name is Smoked Oatmeal." Mr. Miracle quickly clarified, then requested, "We want to eat your old dishes, please." The manager seemed a bit hesitant. "I don't know what will happen if Chef Saster hears about this. For the sake of the children, please," Mr. Miracle said earnestly. The manager swallowed hard, hesitated for a moment, and finally agreed. "All right, I'm willing to make your old signature dishes. But please don't say anything, okay? I don't want to damage my reputation on this street." "Mr. Miracle, you're amazing," Sweetheart Baby said. "You can not only predict the future, but also the past." Sweetheart Baby, you can't predict the past, right?" Smart Lulu reminded. "Maybe it should be called knowing." Just as they were conversing at a normal speaking volume, an obnoxious snicker erupted from the table next to them. Mr. Miracle looked over and found a familiar upscale couple, a male unicorn entirely gray, with a black middle-parted mane, wearing small gentleman-esque glasses on his nose and a green shirt, and a female unicorn entirely light yellow, with flowing mane of light purple and white, wearing earrings and a necklace. They both wore a woolen shawl over their clothes. "Country bumpkins are just country bumpkins," the female unicorn said softly. "It's no wonder they can't enjoy upscale dining. Forgive them. They probably don't even know Chef Saster, or even understand the significance of a 3-star dining experience." The male unicorn said disdainfully. Clearly, the 2 upscale unicorns spoke loud enough for the cute team to catch every word. Smart Lulu rolled her eyes and said angrily, "That's another reason not to like Canterlot. Who do they think they are to say that?" Sweetheart Baby pouted. "We need to reason with them." Apple Lily, unable to take this insult, was ready to jump down from her seat to debate with them. But Mr. Miracle stopped her, calmly saying, "You must know that debating only works with ponies who are willing to reason, and they clearly don't want to reason with us. Are we just going to let them mock us? No, we have something they don't have, like upbringing." When he said this, he intentionally raised his voice and shot a glance at the two upscale unicorns. "Let us show them our upbringing. If word gets out that they are less polite than three foals, it definitely won't ruin their reputation." Once this was said, the snickering stopped, leaving only faint huffing sounds. The three foals felt a sense of relief, sat up straight happily, and truly intended to show off their upbringing. But when the food arrived, their true colors were revealed. Normally, they would never eat in a way that could be described as ravenous. But this time they had just traveled for an hour to get here, and after the bland food they had, the deliciousness of the food skyrocketed. And they ate as casually as they could. After they finished eating and settled the bill, the two upscale unicorns seemed to have found an outlet for their frustration, sarcastically mocking their messy eating habits. Mr. Miracle squinted his eyes, ignored them, and settled the bill for himself, even giving the manager a piece of advice to make the dishes he wanted to make. Afterward, they collected their emotions and went on to the Grand Theater, Art Museum, Library, Golden Apple Tree, and Cloud Sports Stadium, but most of these required reservations. The library didn't, but since they had come to Canterlot, they didn't want to waste their time just sitting and reading. The three foals were somewhat disappointed. They thought the big city would be much more interesting than the small town, but the entertainment options for these upscale unicorns could only be described as scarce. Worse still, wherever the cute team went, there were one or two unicorns secretly laughing at them. Moreover, since most of the upscale unicorns had gone to the Galloping Gala, the entire city felt even emptier. Even if these exquisite buildings are beautiful, they have become boring by now. Jinchi has always said how great Canterlot is, but I just don't think it's that great. Sweetheart Baby agreed. It seems that tonight, not only Ziyue and the others will be disappointed, but the three young colts are also very disappointed. Mr. Miracle feels a bit guilty. After all, it was his idea to bring them here to see the world, and now it has made everyone unhappy. What kind of situation is that? He has to make tonight perfect. So he stood still and came up with an interesting plan. "Mr. Miracle, why did you stop? I have an idea that can make tonight super fun." Mr. Miracle smiled. "And it can also teach those upper-class ponies a good lesson." Then he quietly shared his plan, just like the story he had told them before. $1 Million Colt? Is that the story where the protagonist accidentally inherits $1 million and jumps into high society? Smart Lulu raised an eyebrow and asked, "Are we going to trick those upper-class ponies?" In stark contrast to the two young colts, Sweetheart Baby seemed reluctant. "I don't know, Mr. Miracle, isn't this deception? Including Ziyue and the elders, and you, have all taught us not to lie." "Sweetheart Baby, don't be so old-fashioned," Smart Lulu said. "What else did Mr. Miracle say? Specific situations should be analyzed specifically?" "Yes, that's the one. Don't worry, isn't the ending of $1 Million Colt quite good?" Apple Lily also agreed with this idea. "I don't think this is that dishonest. At most, it's just a little joke." "Exactly, just a little joke," Mr. Miracle nodded. "I will confess in the end, because only by confessing can we see the funniest expressions of those upper-class ponies. Now let's act fast. The Cute Legion's $1 Million Colt operation, yay." Apple Lily and Smart Lulu jumped up and high-fived Mr. Miracle, but Sweetheart Baby looked unconvinced. In the end, she still high-fived. But as she walked at the back, she muttered softly, "This really goes against what Mr. Miracle taught us." Just as the Cute Legion was planning to make a big move in Canterlot, Ziyue, Jinchi, Biki, Apple Gyre, Yunbao, and Ruru arrived at the Canterlot Royal Palace. Each pony was dressed in the unique gowns designed by Jinchi, looking exceptionally beautiful, exquisite, and showcasing their temperament without losing depth. Suilong wore a black tailcoat. As the girls sang and rejoiced on their way to the hall, Suilong was still thinking about how to help Ziyue, Jinchi, Biki, Apple Gyre, Yunbao, and Ruru. Mr. Miracle indeed wrote a plan. To be precise, 6 plans combined into one big plan. First, persuade the Cosmic Princess not to be responsible for greeting guests, but to let her nephew, the Blue Blood Prince, take charge. Ziyue and the Cosmic Princess would chat in another room, while Biki could hold a small party for them there. Since the Blue Blood Prince would be greeting guests, whether Jinchi could meet him or not, chatting with upper-class ponies on the stairs was her wish. Ruru wanted to make friends with the animals in the garden, so she just needed to be quiet. Apple Gyre wanted to sell things, so she needed to sell things that upper-class ponies liked to eat. Yunbao wanted to befriend the Wonderbolts, so she needed to create a space to be with them. But this big plan was quite presumptuous. Perhaps even Mr. Miracle himself realized that it was nearly impossible to gain joy at such a so-called upper-class celebration. So the plans were written very vaguely. It made it seem like as long as it was written vaguely, Swailong could handle it. Although he could give it a try. If it didn't work, it just wouldn't work. As soon as Ziyue arrived, she saw the cosmic princess standing on the steps, the most beautiful, elegant, dignified, esteemed, incomparable, and beloved unicorn princess among all ponies. She had a tall figure, with a pale pink-white body, luxurious and magnificent. Her flowing mane and tail were so ethereal, and her magenta eyes radiated wisdom, while her long horn proclaimed her magical prowess. Ziyue couldn't wait to rush towards her, wanting to spend the whole night with her. But even more eager was Swailong. He didn't know how he could burst out that kind of speed with his short legs. And in an instant he was in front of the cosmic princess, nervously saying, "Your Highness, it's an honor to see you again." After saying that, Swailong quickly bowed. "I'm very happy to see you again, Swailong." The cosmic princess smiled. Swailong found it hard to speak, letting her not be responsible for greeting guests. It sounded easy. But how could he say it perfectly? He could only say awkwardly, "Your Highness. I must tell you that Ziyue has been looking forward to today for countless days and nights, just waiting to discuss some tricky issues with you." Tricky issues? The cosmic princess asked in surprise. Why has she never mentioned this in her letters? That's because she feels these issues are hard to express in letters. Swailong said as quickly as possible. In any case, they are very tricky and must be discussed in person. I don't think you would refuse her, right? Of course. I would love to communicate with my dearest student, but I still have to greet the guests here. Maybe I can find some time later. This matter can't wait. Greeting guests is important, but solving Ziyue's problem is also very important, isn't it? Swailong was already sweating profusely. He shouldn't have agreed to Mr. Miracle's big plan. You can let the Blue Blood Prince take over this task. As a member of the royal family, it's time for him to take on some royal responsibilities. You have a point, but I see she seems very happy. That's because she saw you, so she is happy. This way, you can help her solve her troubles. Yes, just like that. After saying that, Ziyue had already stepped onto the stairs. She and Swailong ran the fastest, while the subsequent guests had not yet entered the hall. Cosmic Princess, hello. Ziyue, Swailong just said. Let's skip the small talk. You two hurry and find a place to talk properly. This place will be taken care of by the Blue Blood Prince and Jinshi. Ziyue couldn't wait any longer. Can't wait? Ziyue was a bit confused, but then she nodded affirmatively. Yes, I really can't wait. The Cosmic Princess looked at the nervous Swailong, and then at the smiling Ziyue, and could only sigh and say, "All right then, Swailong. Please help me inform my nephew to temporarily take over my duties. Ziyue, you can come with me to another place to talk." Upon hearing this, Ziyue was almost excited enough to jump up. Really? Can I really talk to you alone? That's amazing. The Cosmic Princess finally shot a puzzled glance at Swailong, and then walked towards another room with the cheering Ziyue. Swailong watched them disappear behind the curtain and let out a long breath. Step 1 complete. He wiped some sweat and secretly glanced at Mr. Miracle's plan. Now for step 2, let the Blue Blood Prince take over greeting guests, and then let Jinshi communicate with the upper-class ponies along with him. Swailong scanned the hall from the steps and soon found the pony he was looking for, a snow-white pony dressed in a white suit with a black collar. With golden hair and blue eyes, looking very elegant and handsome, it was the Blue Blood Prince. He was about to walk out of the hall to take a stroll in the garden. Found him, Swailong thought to himself, then ran on his little short legs to block the Blue Blood Prince's path. "Who are you?" the Blue Blood Prince asked. "Are you serious?" Swailong raised an eyebrow and said, Ziyue and the Cosmic Princess are so familiar. We've met several times, and you say you don't know me? Maybe I know." The Blue Blood Prince smiled awkwardly. "What was your name again?" "My name is Swailong." "Oh right, Swailong. I remember now. You're the Cosmic Princess's student's little follower." The Blue Blood Prince nodded. "What do you want from me?" Upon hearing this, Swailong said unkindly, "It's like this. The Cosmic Princess wants you to take over her greeting duties because she has some urgent matters to attend to." "What?" "No. I was just about to go enjoy the flowers in the garden." Just then, Jinshi walked into the hall through another door and immediately spotted Swailong talking to the Blue Blood Prince, running over excitedly. Of course, during the process, she was still conflicted about whether to appear so eager, but all her doubts vanished in the face of beautiful fantasies. She only slowed down in the last few steps, pretending to pass by casually. "Oh, miss, please wait." His attention was immediately drawn to the beautiful Jinshi. "Hello, I'm the Blue Blood Prince." "Hey, you were just talking to me," Swailong said discontentedly, but his words were clearly ignored by the two little ponies. "Oh, hello, I'm Jinshi." Jinshi's heart fluttered, but she still tried her best to hide it and showcase her elegance. "I didn't expect such a beautiful miss to come to this year's galloping gala." I thought it would be as boring as before. Really? Thank you for the compliment. Jinchi chuckled, covering her mouth. Since you're such an elegant pony, I'd like to invite you to stand on that stage to greet the guests. Greet guests? Oh my goodness, that is such an honor. Jinchi immediately agreed. Hey, don't pull any tricks. Suilong interrupted in time. The cosmic princess herself asked you to be in charge of welcoming guests. Jinchi can go with you, but you have to go too. All right, I'll go. Geez, the blue blood prince muttered as he walked up the steps, with Jinchi following him, her eyes shining. Suilong shook his head. If it weren't for Mr. Miracle telling him that Jinchi would never like the blue blood prince, he wouldn't have tried to match them. Setting aside the blue blood prince, he figured it was good to fulfill Jinchi's wish. With the second task completed, the next was to find Pinkie. He put away the note and continued running towards the ballroom. The ballroom of the royal palace was enormous, filled with a large group of elegantly dressed upper-class ponies discussing various high society topics, which were really just about the weather, gossip, relatives, business, and other trivial matters. At the front of the ballroom was a not-so-high stage where a classical band was seriously playing music, though it was unclear how many ponies were actually listening. On either side of the ballroom were 2 rows of tables made of fine golden silk wood, covered with beautifully patterned pink silk tablecloths. But there were only a few cups of punch on them, with no other snacks. Pinkie's cheerful outfit seemed so out of place that Suilong spotted her sighing at a table and hurried over. Hello, Suilong. Pinkie greeted without looking up. Why are you so down? Didn't you say the Galloping Gala had the party you wanted to attend? There is a large-scale party, but it's obviously not the kind I was thinking of. Pinkie sighed deeply. Mr. Miracle was right. There are indeed many types of parties. I know what can cheer you up, a party. Suilong tried to lift her spirits. I know that Ziyue and the Cosmic Princess are enjoying some minter student time in a room. You could throw a small party for them. Just for the 2 of them? I'd love to, but having only a few ponies is too dull. What if we add the Lightning Pegasus team and Rainbow Dash, plus a few more ponies? Well, that would be fine. Pinkie turned from sad to happy. Can they really come? Suilong nodded, and Pinkie was so happy she jumped up to the ceiling. But considering the gazes of the surrounding ponies, she restrained herself and prepared to go with Suilong. But he still had other tasks to complete. Wait, aren't you coming with me? Pinkie asked. I still need to check on Applejack and invite the Lightning Pegasus team over. You just focus on throwing the party. But I don't know which room the Cosmic Princess and Ziyue are in. Don't worry. Ask the other ponies in charge of the activities. Someone should have seen where they went. No more talking. I have to go. With that, Suilong hurriedly left, leaving Pinkie looking confused. Outside the garden, Applejack was thrilled to have just made her first sale, as a member of the Lightning Pegasus team had just bought the only apple pie she brought. Looks like Mr. Miracle can make mistakes too. There are still ponies who like apples. Applejack muttered to herself. I even prepared so many non-apple snacks. She was referring to the tiny, visually appealing items on her cart, which resembled the food found in a gourmet street, made from her memories of the treats from her Uncle Orange in Manhattan. As for the taste, she couldn't remember clearly and could only make them as good as possible. Just then, Suilong rushed over, panting. And seeing the items on Applejack's cart matched what Mr. Miracle had written, he felt relieved. Suilong, what are you doing here? Just came to check. How is your business? Great. I sold an apple pie within a minute of setting up. Applejack pointed at the items that looked unappetizing but were purely for show. The only problem is, I don't know if these things will sell. Trust Mr. Miracle. He probably wouldn't be wrong. You could try selling while walking. Don't stick to one place. When Applejack heard this, she suddenly realized. Right. Selling in just one place might mean I only reach less than 1/10 of potential customers. I need to push my cart to other places and see. Thanks for the reminder, Suilong. No problem. By the way, do you know where Rainbow Dash is? Rainbow Dash. Let me think, Applejack pondered. High Fly just bought an apple pie and went to the district. Rainbow might be there too. But you're not invited. So you might not be able to get in. After saying that, she pushed her cart away. Suilong thought about it. This was indeed a tricky problem. He should have looked for Rainbow Dash first, not Pinkie. It should have been Ziyue and the Cosmic Princess first, then the Blue Blood Prince. Forget it. It's pointless to dwell on that now. He needed to hurry and find the Lightning Pegasus team. Meanwhile, deep in the garden, Ro remembered Mr. Miracle's instructions and quietly approached the little animals. Setting aside the earlier blunder of mistaking the old gardener for a meadow lark, she felt tonight would surely be wonderful. It seemed that under Suilong's efforts, things would develop in the direction Mr. Miracle hoped for. But could it really turn out as everyone wished? Suddenly, a wealthy gentleman arrived in Canterlot. His first appearance was at the auction house, where he splurged 5,000 bits on an unremarkable vase, making a big splash. Many socialites immediately took notice of this unfamiliar pony, who was light brown all over, with a black mane parted in the middle, wearing a pair of gentleman's glasses, a black top hat, and a black tailcoat, along with a small mustache, named Adam. He was accompanied by 3 young ponies, whom he claimed were family relatives. News about him quickly spread among the upper class, and it was said he was a dealer traveling through Equestria. With a keen eye for what was profitable and what wasn't, he could speak eloquently on the subject. At first, most ponies didn't believe him much, but his manner was more aristocratic than that of the nobles, and his connections seemed boundless. His knowledge was also unfathomable, gradually winning them over. Even a small capital like Canterlot didn't catch his eye. He claimed to have been to many places, considering Canterlot, Manhattan, and Pegasus Vegas to be mere second-tier cities. When asked what constituted a first-tier city, he immediately listed off super cities like Wyong City, Xiangju City, and Shanghai City, which no one had ever heard of. In his narrative, the prosperity of these super cities felt both real and illusory, exaggerated yet realistic, fantastical yet meticulously detailed, leaving listeners spellbound. The upper-class ponies directly organized a dinner for him to continue sharing secrets that could potentially yield millions in income. Thus, in the Canterlot Grand Hotel, he stood on stage, speaking eloquently, while the upper-class ponies below lost their bravado, all listening attentively like elementary school students. May I ask, if you are not here in Canterlot to attend the Galloping Gala, what is the reason for your visit? A high society pony raised a hoof and asked, how much? 100,000? 100,000? 100,000 bits? Really 100,000? The audience immediately began to murmur, with some doubting his claims and others falling into deep shock. Adam continued to ignore the audience and spoke to himself. Of course, 1 million is just a small amount, isn't it? I believe many gentlemen sitting in the audience wouldn't even look at such money. But what can I do? I'm on vacation, and the task of guiding the young colts has fallen on my hooves, so I had to come. He was referring to the 3 accompanying young colts, all wearing sunglasses and, like him, expressionless. Whether it was a loss or a gain didn't matter. What was important was the training. Although the first business deal was only 1 million, it really wasn't considered an achievement in my family. Is it really 1 million, Mr. Adam? A young colt dared to ask from the audience. Oh, sir, I wouldn't lie about 1 million. Adam held his head high, his words filled with sarcasm. But his tone and accent were still more aristocratic than the aristocrats, more gentlemanly than the gentlemen. I can tell you directly, this order is about Ponyville. My distant aunt's nephew's grandson's 13th uncle is responsible for distributing all the food and materials for the celebrations in Canterlot, and 9 times out of 10, they come from there. Because of this, after 3 years of events, the debt has reached 1 million. He didn't have time to come collect it, so I came, bringing 3 future successor colts to familiarize themselves with the business. He said as he took out a contract and a receipt. The contract, while not commonly used, was familiar to everyone, but that receipt was truly something new. A small piece of cotton paper printed with high-quality ink, displaying the ornate lettering of Canterlot and the Lomophiler family, with a large 1,000,000 in the middle. Excuse me, Mr. Adam, what is this receipt? It seemed that young Pony Maria had not yet encountered such an advanced trading method. Adam did not hide his knowledge and arrogance, explaining that the receipt was a voucher issued by the payer to the payee, which could be used to claim the payment on the specified date, usually applicable for transactions of large amounts. For example, with this business, it would be too inefficient to collect bits for every celebration. So we use this receipt to collect everything in one go after 3 years. Sometimes we might even do it the other way around, collecting 3 years' payments in advance and then delivering in installments. He gestured on the receipt as he spoke. I see. The young colts nodded in unison. Upon hearing this, Adam displayed an annoyed expression. Talking about collecting debts makes me feel gloomy. The responsible pony from Canterlot is attending the Galloping Gala tonight, so he doesn't have time to discuss it in detail with me, and I have to wait until tomorrow. He said that as compensation. The shipping costs and vehicles would be covered by his side, but he was still unhappy, not about the money, but about the time. He still had to discuss the vanilla contract with Axton, the ore business with Dragon's Domain, gold with Griffin Island, crude oil with Mare Arabia, and ocean development with the Mare Griffin Kingdom. This meant he had to delay his subsequent work. May I ask who this responsible pony is? We might know him. His name is Fancy Pants, and he always has a companion named Iris. Oh my, it's Fancy Pants. We all know him. He is one of the most prestigious figures in Canterlot. Oh, please forgive my bluntness, but is Fancy Pants really considered one of the most prestigious figures in Canterlot? Adam said with an expressionless face. As for status, at the very least, it should be at the level of a princess, right? As soon as this was said, the entire audience was shocked. Everyone dropped their jaws, left speechless. But Adam merely stretched his hooves, yawned, and said, I've said so much, my mouth is dry. I I really hope to finish this business quickly and move on to another city. The speaker had no intention, but the listeners had their own thoughts. The young ponies present were all fascinated by the million-dollar business, primarily because of the receipt. The contract clearly stated that the receipt could be used to claim 1 million bits, regardless of whether it was impersonally, of course. This didn't mean they wanted to steal it. After all, there was only one receipt, and if it were stolen, no one would dare to actually present it to claim the money. What they were thinking was, could they buy this voucher at a lower price? He then introduced the 3 young colts to the many socialites. The first was Applejack Scarlet Lomafiler, whose family was said to have close ties with the Apple family spread across Ponyland, focusing on crops and land business. The second was Diamond Tiara Lomafiler, whose family was said to have connections with the aristocrats of Mare Arabia and the aristocrats of the Diamond Hound Kingdom, focusing on jewelry, ores, clothing, and other businesses. The third was Marilyn Monroe Lomafiler, whose family was said to focus on gambling and racing industries, with establishments in Pegasus, Vegas, and Mare Atlantic City. Despite their young age, these 3 colts talked business just like Adam, showing no signs of stage fright, and answered questions from the many young ponies fluently. During the banquet, many young ponies blushed as they competed for the opportunity to speak with them. One young pony would be talking, and another would come over to make sarcastic remarks. While one group was halfway through a conversation, several young ponies would suddenly squeeze in to compare prices, shouting and yelling over a few bits of profit. Even more, some gathered together to pool money, vowing to acquire that receipt. That night, these upper-class ponies displayed all sorts of ridiculous behavior. While the 3 young colts showed no signs of hiding their disdain and contempt, yet the more they looked down on them, the more these ponies believed their family background was solid. Otherwise, how could they have such confidence? In short, after a fierce battle for verbal dominance, the many young ponies finally settled on their targets. First was that receipt, and second were the business fields each of the 3 young colts was responsible for. To achieve their goals, the young ponies launched various attacks on the 3 young colts, including flattery, bribery, praise, and small talk. They gradually began to relent, finally revealing their true thoughts. Upon hearing this, the upper-class ponies' eyes lit up. As long as they could buy the receipt for 800,000 bits, they could then collect 1 million from Fancy Pants, making a profit of 200,000. But 800,000 was still an astronomical number, and these ponies could never afford it. So, they formed 2 groups, planning to pool money to buy the receipt, and then split the earnings according to their investment ratios. Not all young ponies had the means to consider the receipt, so they turned their attention to other business opportunities. According to Applejack Scarlet, the Apple family planned to enter Canterlot. Although they couldn't grow crops here directly, they could open a food processing plant. Considering how many ponies were in Canterlot, this factory would surely make a lot of money. The Apple family always emphasized quality. Proving their capability and qualifications to open a factory was no easy task. However, Applejack Scarlet hinted, as long as she was satisfied, she could lower the standards, ensuring the other party would obtain the operating rights. According to Diamond Tiara, Mare Arabia had recently discovered not only oil wells, but also a large gemstone mine waiting to be developed. The owner of the mine happened to be a member of her family, but unfortunately, the mining operation was halted due to a lack of funds just before the extraction. As long as there were ponies willing to sponsor the mine to continue operations, the subsequent gemstone production would surely yield significant dividends. The shares for the mine were limited, and Diamond Tiara herself held a portion, but she wanted to invest this money in other industries, so she hinted, as long as she was satisfied, she would be willing to sell her shares at a lower price. According to Marilyn Monroe, her family planned to open a gambling industry in Canterlot, with the Pegasus Stadium's horse racing project being one part of it. But Canterlot was just a small town in the eyes of her family, and the family members were unwilling to come in person, so they planned to offer the agency rights. Watching these ponies become increasingly uncontrollable, the 3 young colts, who initially found the situation amusing, now had to swallow their saliva. This farce had perhaps gone too far. As the night deepened, the galloping gala continued, and the revelry here persisted. Ultimately, Adam, under pressure from requests, agreed to sell the 1 million bit receipt for 690,000. The winning pony group cheered with joy and immediately declared that all expenses incurred by Adam at the hotel would be covered by them. Ignoring the noise in the hotel lobby, the exhausted Adam and the worried 3 young colts went upstairs, settling into the most luxurious prince suite. However luxurious the room may be, however exquisite the furnishings, and however delicious the snacks, they cannot make the young ponies happy. They are already adorned with the jewelry, accessories, and necklaces gifted by the elite, and their saddlebags are filled with gems, bits, and contracts that the little ponies had paid for in advance. The room is piled high with the clothing, gemstones, statues, porcelain, paintings, and other valuable collectibles sent by the high-class ponies. Adam and the young ponies have shed their disguises, revealing themselves as Mr. Miracle, Applejack, Sweetie Belle, and Rarity. Only Mr. Miracle wears a broad smile, while the other three young ponies look anxiously at everything before them. Sweetie Belle, Rarity, I think we have to admit that this is all too much. Applejack says, yeah, they've gone completely crazy. Rarity says in a slight panic. They've bet the entire family fortune without any evidence. What? The three young ponies gasp in shock. Applejack exclaims, this was supposed to be just a prank. But now the situation is truly frightening for us ponies. We should give up immediately and leave right now. Yes, let us leave now. I never want to come back to Canterlot again, Rarity agrees. And Mr. Miracle, you can't pull this off either. That paper is fake. If they find Fancy Pants, everything will be exposed, Sweetie Belle warns. But Mr. Miracle pays no heed, unwilling to give up on the impending fortune, and mysteriously smiles, don't worry. I have a plan. Tomorrow I will falsely claim that the tickets were stolen. They will surely mobilize the entire city to help me find them. During this chaotic time, we'll grab the money and run. But that is already fraud. What is the difference? We don't like these guys anyway. Have you forgotten how they mocked us? Mr. Miracle seems to have lost his usual wisdom and calmness, captivated by the sudden influx of wealth. But what if they become suspicious and decide not to buy the tickets? Think about it. What can you do with this fortune? Mr. Miracle's voice returns to calm. But beneath that calm lies persuasive rhetoric. Applejack, you could renovate the entire Sweet Apple Acres, or even buy out all of the businesses owned by the rich family. Tiara would never be able to mock you again. Your reputation in the Apple family would be unparalleled. You would become a hero to Apple Bloom, Big Macintosh, and Granny Smith. Rarity, with this money, you could watch the Wonderbolts perform every day. You could even sponsor the entire team. Just think. The entire Wonderbolts team performing just for you. From now on, you would be their one and only. I know you admire Rainbow Dash. What do you think her attitude would be if you had that connection with the Wonderbolts? Sweetie Belle, with this wealth, you could not only help your sister fulfill her dreams and open a fashion store across all of Ponyville, but think about it. How would your sister, Rarity, thank you when you achieve this? You could even have your own fashion store, and celebrities like Hoity Toity, Photo Finish, and Sapphire Shores would become your friends. For a moment, the three young ponies were moved. Indeed, these were the dreams they, or the ponies they admired, had longed for. But it was precisely thinking of the ponies they admired that they woke up from the dream, realizing that not only the high-class ponies, but even Mr. Miracle before them had fallen into madness. They exchanged determined and resolute glances. No, they shouted loudly, eyes closed. What? We said no. This is too much. It has to stop now. Don't you understand? Mr. Miracle is still trying to fight for that money. Applejack stepped forward and said, although Apple Bloom wants to renovate the entire Sweet Apple Acres, if we have to achieve that with this dirty money, we'd rather go bankrupt. Rarity stepped forward and said, with this dirty money, not to mention Rainbow Dash would be disappointed in me. Even the Wonderbolts wouldn't accept such a rude request. Sweetie Belle stepped forward and said, anything that is not earned through hard work is fake and meaningless. Rarity would only feel sad. Absolutely not. You're right. What have I done? Mr. Miracle gasped. He then suddenly struck himself with his hoof, hitting himself hard. What are you doing? The three young ponies rushed forward. It's nothing. This is what I deserve. A bruise immediately appeared on Mr. Miracle's face, which hurt to the touch, but the pain was right. It would help him remember everything well. We're leaving now. We're leaving everything here, not taking a single thing. Okay. So the four ponies hurriedly threw all the gold and silver jewelry, contracts, and bits, etc., into the middle of the room, piling them together with the clothing, gemstones, and other collectibles that had been sent. Before they left, they checked their saddlebags and manis repeatedly to ensure that nothing was left on them. When midnight came, the high-class ponies gradually dispersed, and the cute army quietly emerged from the room, stealthily making their way to the hotel entrance. Seeing that the street was quiet and devoid of any ponies, they then dashed off, running all the way to the train station. They laughed and ran along the way, never feeling so happy before, as if they had shed a 1,000-pound burden. Mr. Miracle felt the same. Usually, loss brings sadness and regret to ponies, but this time, the loss brought him such relief, as if a weight had been lifted. He usually educated the three young ponies, but this time, they taught him a valuable lesson. Once they boarded the train, they felt as if they had crossed into another world. Although their trip to Canterlot did not develop as they had expected, the outcome was ultimately good. On the other side, the galloping gala finally came to an end. So did Zekara, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy fulfill their wishes? Did the efforts of Spike and Mr. Miracle prove effective? It can only be said that they were effective at first, but in the end, it seems Mr. Miracle still failed to change the outcome. They did not achieve their wishes. At the beginning, Zekrom was happily chatting with Princess Celestia, but soon they realized they were having a cross-domain conversation. Princess Celestia was worried that Zekrom had some issues. Her expression turned gloomy, and her tone changed from usual, which made Zekrom think the princess was dissatisfied with her, causing her to become even more anxious. This anxiety made the princess believe Zekrom had more problems, and her tone became more urgent. The more urgent the princess became, the more anxious Zekrom got. This cyclical dialogue was tormenting for both parties, and they only discovered it was all a misunderstanding at the end. But by the time they realized the truth, the celebration was nearly over. Rarity initially felt it was a great honor to speak with those high-class ponies, especially with the blue-blood prince by her side. However, the prince's performance was simply terrible. His speech made him appear short-sighted and arrogantly aloof, and he unconsciously belittled Ponyville in some conversations, which Rarity could not tolerate. She also could not stand the neglect from those high-class ponies. They basically only spoke to the prince, no matter how polite she was. They would only exchange a few superficial words. After finally completing the welcoming task, the prince showed none of the expected grace and etiquette, which completely infuriated her. Pinkie Pie was happy at first until Spike indicated that it was impossible to invite the Wonderbolts, and Rainbow Dash preferred to stay with the team. Rarity and Blue Blood were together and did not come. Fluttershy was outside interacting with animals and did not come. Applejack was busy selling snacks and did not come. As for Zekrom, she was focused on explaining and pleading with Princess Celestia at the time, completely uninterested in participating in the party. In the end, it turned into a party for just Pinkie Pie, and Spike, but that was about it. Applejack's selling journey was also in disarray. Indeed, many high-class ponies were willing to eat her bland food, but none were willing to pay. There was a buffet in the celebration, and that night everyone ate for free. Who would buy her food? By the time she finally baked a luxurious cake, most ponies were already full. The only good news was that nothing went to waste as she fed it to her friends. Yunbao desperately wanted to catch the attention of the Lightning Pegasus team. She tried to follow Mr. Miracle's advice, but it didn't work. The Lightning Pegasus team had their own connections in Canterlot, and she couldn't find a way to insert herself into their conversation. In the end, she took a gamble and began to deliberately show off her skills to attract attention. But it was still futile. By the time the celebration ended, she realized she had spent the whole evening trying to please them, neglecting to enjoy the celebration itself. And she hadn't even eaten anything. Ruru thought she would have a wonderful night with the little animals, but instead found that most of them were taciturn. Even when Ruru didn't scare them, they just went about their own business in the trees and on the grass, showing no intention of talking to her. She wanted to bring up some topics, but those that worked with ordinary animals were completely ineffective with them. Perhaps these animals had also been influenced by the atmosphere of Canterlot. As a result, she spent 2 awkward hours on the grass. Eventually, she, Swaylong, and Princess Cosmos went to a donut shop for a simple late-night snack. But it was this last little bit of time that became the highlight of the entire night. They realized that true happiness comes from being with friends. Princess Cosmos reflected that, although the part of talking to Ziue was tormenting, it was, in a way, quite amusing and peculiar. At least it wasn't dull, and she genuinely laughed. Ziue silently reminded herself, "Tonight, I learned an important lesson. Sometimes, things don't go as expected," which can be quite frustrating, but such moments will always exist. The important thing is that we still have friends to face these sudden changes together, trying to steer them in a positive direction. What matters is not what friends do together, but simply the fact that they are together. The next day, the frenzied upper-class ponies rushed into the Canterlot Grand Hotel, dreaming of wealth while pushing each other around. However, when they pushed open the prince's suite, they found it empty, with only the belongings they had handed over the night before, indicating that everything from last night was not a dream. The good news was that all the items they had sent out were still there, and the 4 con artists had taken nothing. The bad news was that they had left a letter for the upper-class circle of Canterlot, detailing certain absurd actions of so-and-so, such as going bankrupt just to buy a piece of worthless paper, tearing apart relationships with peers for personal gain, and even having marital discord over how to spend the subsequent fortune, ultimately expressing direct mockery. The upper-class ponies felt deeply ashamed upon reading it and immediately agreed not to mention the matter again, pretending it never happened.